much you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Oh, son of a bitch.
I'm gonna come.
Salute.
Our religion is based.
She's obviously dark.
Patriot.
What is that?
We're gonna kill them, you know, they're gonna be like dead.
Oh, look at my African American over here. Look at him.
I don't really care, Margaret.
The N-word. Go home to mommy.
I've got an idea. Why don't we just kill him?
I like how you. I'm gonna come.
I had to do it. I just had to do it. Man, look at me scooted way over to that side. I had to do it. I couldn't just not play the Friday intro for a whole week. That wasn't gonna happen. This is the Friday of this week because I'm out for the rest of the week. After tonight, I'll be flying up to DC tomorrow. It looks like the flight is still on. Haven't heard otherwise, so I'm planning on heading out. And yeah, we were gonna have the Friday intro, so I made sure that we had the Friday intro. Yeah, I could have done the Wednesday intro too, but I mean, be honest, the fart hogs are fun. But the Friday intro is where it's at. Yes. Han Pritchard asked if that was intentionally timed with Elon. Yes, it is always intentionally timed with Elon. If you go back and watch every Friday intro, you'll note that is intentionally timed with Elon. And that is me on the soundboard in the background with the sound effects, the voices, and everything. It's like my little opportunity to flex my DJ muscles. I've never been a DJ. I don't remotely have it in me to be a DJ, but I've always thought that it would be kind of fun. So I'm just sitting there, just jamming away on the soundboard, trying to time the things just right, just kind of doing a little spontaneously. But some of them are. If you paid attention, you'll notice I play some of them at the same time in the same spots, and the Elon one is one of them. Each time I add a new sound to the soundboard, I try to figure out a way to. There's some of them that just won't work. Because like they have music in the background or they're too long or something like that. But yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about the Friday intro. Man, oh boy, oh shit, alpha male alert.
Here comes the money.
Dollar, dollar, ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter.
Total Niagara death. All these black pillars are gay homosexual fags.
Yes!
Gayer than the Johnson guy who our president knows is super gay. Ooga hoo 600,000 Chinese hoo hoo boo venture son of 50-year mortgage goo boo ha ha hoo.
That was so good. I liked how it said Bauba. It didn't say booba, it said bauba. That was so good. Thank you, Pale Morning Dude. The $100 tip. Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. You got me good. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. You know, I spent the entire day. I'm not exaggerating. I spent the entire day from about 10:15 this morning until about 6 p.m. tonight at the T-Mobile store. Now, I wasn't at the T-Mobile store the entire day. There was some moments where I left, went and got some food, went and took the family home, went and did a couple little errands, went and took my sister to work. Otherwise, I was there at the frickin' T-Mobile store, getting everything switched over. I finally bit the bullet. I've been procrastinating on this, putting it off. I know I need to do it. Oh boy, Pale Morning Dude again. Uh-oh. He's challenging you guys. He's throwing down the gauntlet. Will someone pick it up? Let's get. Can we do a tower of $5 tips? That would be a thing. Yeah, finally just decided to bite the bullet and get the new phones and go through that whole rigmarole and process. And I knew that it was going to be a thing. I knew it was going to be complicated, switching things over. We're dropping a line, but we have to keep the line on for a little bit because they have to give us a rebate. They're going to send us gift cards to cover the payoff on our phones. So we have to do the payoff on our phones, and then they'll send us the gift cards to refund us. And but we're going to be saving like $120 a month, I think, on our phone bills. So we got to do all the work and the cash up front to then save the money in the long run. We'll get the money back. So it's not. It just, I knew this whole thing was going to be a network, and then mother-in-law Gaga is on the plan. So she's out in California, and we have to try to coordinate with her and all of this. So I knew it was going to be a whole thing. I did not expect it to take. I was prepared for, this is going to take 2 or 3 hours to work through all this, because we went and spent a couple hours there yesterday, and so I was expecting, okay, yeah, this should be like a 2-hour process, but there's the possibility it might stretch into like 3 or maybe 4, and then I could come back and do laundry and do some show prep and get packed because I'm flying out tomorrow, and nope, 8 hours. It took 8 hours. The biggest thing was something just connected for me. Oh, fascinating. So apparently there's like some major coronal mass ejection action happening right now. There's supposed to be the aurora borealis is supposed to be visible in places where it usually isn't visible. And the guy was commenting on it because probably 6 of the 8 hours was spent just on porting over the data and restoring from the cloud backup so that we could actually activate the numbers on the devices. And the guy commented, he had other people going in and out who were doing similar things with, but he noticed that only the iPhones
Welcome to the Gulag.
were having an issue.
If you survive, you earn your freedom.
Thank you, Miles Standish, resubscribing. Also, shout out to, looks like some others did, shout out to the Gigajew. Gigajew in the chat, resubscribing now for 6 months. Our favorite kosher killer is hanging out with us. It's great. A half a year already. MGuess1 also celebrating a subscription for 6 months. He said no audio. Yes, of course. No audio. Now maybe this is related to it as well. Kai Akins, Fat Chipmunk, Slosher, and Lionel Johnson, P. Bandersky, Hello Jewelster. A whole bunch of you guys resubscribed overnight. Thank you for that. Very much appreciate you guys continuing to support the channel. That's if you know that you actually resubscribed. Maybe I just alerted you to it if you didn't mean to. Feel free to unsubscribe. No harm, no foul, no offense taken. So there's this coronal mass ejection thing that's happening right now, major solar activity, and he noticed that it was only the iPhones that seemed to be having this issue, where backups that normally take 5 or 10 minutes were taking hours. And I wonder if it was associated with that. I wonder what that says about something particular about the iPhones. It could have also just been kind of incidental that he had more iPhones than the others, and the others just happened to go easier for whatever reason. But there was something weird that was going on. That also makes me wonder if that's why some of the kick stuff has been really wonky lately. Very, very interesting. Han Purchase says, can we not resubscribe on our phone? I know that you cannot subscribe in the first place on your phone. And then, it's the app stores. The apps, even YouTube won't let you subscribe to anything or pay for anything through the app because the app stores will take a major cut of it, like up to 50%. So they have to direct you off platform. So you can only I know you can only subscribe to begin with from the desktop browser, but you can't do it from the phone. I don't know about resubscribing though. I think it just resubscribes automatically for me for the subscriptions that I have, so I'm not sure. But yeah, that's very interesting to consider. I thought that was kind of odd, and maybe that's why everybody's losing their fucking minds. Maybe that's why everyone is such a bunch of high-strung neurotic psychopaths right now, because I didn't get to spend much time on the internet today because I was there doing that. And that was the longest 8 hours of my life, because like 6 of it was spent with no phone. I'm like driving around town, going like drop the wife off, go back out there, like go to the store. She goes over to this place, I go over to that place, and neither of us had our phones. And I realized just how much, whoa, man, I'm like reflexively reaching toward my pocket constantly. Oh no, I don't have my phone on me. What do I do with my hands? I looked at every single device inside the store. I was looking at the backs of phone cases for phones that I would never even consider and will never own. Just like, I wonder what this one's made out of. I wonder where it was shipped from. Interesting. Just wandering around the store, left and got some food, and yeah, anyways, so I didn't really get on the internet all that much. And then a couple times that I did get my phone and took a quick peek just to see if there was anything major that had happened that I needed to be prepared to talk about tonight. And all I saw was just even some of our greatest posters, our posters who have just a absolute 1,000% hit rate. They are batting 1,000. Now all of a sudden they're starting to coal out too. What is going on? Is the sun melting people's brains? It's so wild. Because there's so many wins that are happening right now. And suddenly everyone's just convinced themselves that these things that are not, they're not a thing. They're getting really hung up on them. Many of these are issues we've gone over and over again. And every single time, it winds up being a hoax. But because the same hoax keeps happening over and over again, people are thinking it's real. This is why from the beginning I said the always be chimping thing, the ABC always be chimping thing was such a bad idea. Put another donation in the Matt was right jar. I said from the beginning, I was counter-signaling this always be chimping thing from the very beginning because I knew this is what it was going to turn into. It was going to massively demoralize everyone. When you chimp about everything, what is the natural implication of that? That everything is bad. So then, surprise, surprise, everyone's like, oh shit, everything is bad. And then this becomes this self-reinforcing thing where they're like, well, everything is bad. And you're like, what? Well, see, everyone thinks everything is bad, therefore everything is bad. Do you not see how this feeds itself? Everything is bad, therefore everyone thinks everything is bad, therefore everyone looks at everyone else thinking everything is bad and thinks, well, things must be bad. This is truly and utterly bizarre to me. Because what the chimpers are doing, what these always be chimpers, there are still people who are chimping very productively, and in large part because they do it in targeted manner. They aren't existentially, melodramatically posting at least a couple of times a day about how deep we are into crisis, and the next thing might be what pushes us over, and we're about to fracture, we're about to break apart. It's almost too late. Time is slipping away from us. If you put yourself in that mindset all the time, then everyone is going to be in that mindset. This is Trump derangement syndrome. This is how Trump derangement syndrome forms. I'm watching this so-called online right develop Trump derangement syndrome in the exact same manner that the neocons did, or that the shitlibs did, or that the commies did. They all had their own vector, but it went exactly like this. Hyper-perseverating on every single story, framing it in the worst possible light, and then connecting them to create this appearance that it's the worst thing ever. And it becomes this mass psychosis that takes over everyone's mind. And so then the more people you look at who are going through this psychosis, the more it seems like, well, okay, this must be real. You can think about this and go like super primal and just be, you're some random dude in the middle of a village. You guys live in a hut and you wear animal skins and, like you're walking around each day and everyone's like, oh, the big dark shadow up there. And you're like, what big dark shadow? It's right there. Don't you see it? What are you talking about? There's a big dark shadow. It's right there. Okay. Well, the first time you see someone like that, you're like, look at that fucking guy. He's all afraid of that big dark shadow. And the person you're talking to is like, you're not? You're not afraid of the big dark shadow? How are you not afraid of the big dark shadow? Is there something wrong with you? Oh, I can't trust you. I can't trust you if you're not afraid of the big dark shadow. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? And you keep going through the town and you keep bumping into people like this. Pretty soon, your choice is be the insane social outcast who you think everyone else is insane and they think you're insane, so you're going to live completely isolated and alone. And this is something that operates on the subconscious level. You don't rationalize this out. This is why I'm saying this is primal brain stuff. And so then that manifests as all the people around me are all starting to get really worked up. So I need to start getting really worked up. And as I get really worked up, then my circle of people who interact with me, it starts leaking off onto them. It becomes this contagion that just wipes right through populations like wildfire. This has been Trump's calling card his entire time in politics. That he makes people lose their minds. He is truly an apocalyptic president in the truest sense of the word. Great revelation, a great revelatory moment. He forces the issue with people. Somehow, just organically, not out of any sort of a plan or anything like that. He's just this world historical figure who was sent here to melt everyone's brains. My president is a Lovecraftian horror. Yes, he makes people lose their minds. Yes. Everyone's just losing their minds. And I'm like, we've been over this so many times. But did you think that the psyops only went one way? Did you think that beginning to impact the culture the way we clearly have been, having the administration directly signaling to us, did you not think that this was going to put the Eye of Sauron on us? Did you not think that they were going to develop psychological models of us? Someone out there is. Or some collection of someone's, each psychologically modeling one population for one reason or another, are beginning to triangulate around a very clear psychological model. And people have figured out if you press this button, this happens. Hyper-perseverant.
I am afraid of the big dark shadow. Always be afraid of the dark shadows. Unless you are the dark shadow or control the shadow, seek to banish the shadow. We are not shadow casting right now, so it's right to be afraid. Ooga booga booga.
I don't know if I've ever heard shadow said so many times in a row. But here's the thing. In that analogy that I'm giving, the person who's walking around, and everyone's like, oh, the shadow. They don't, there isn't a shadow there. If everybody else sees a shadow, and some people don't see a shadow, is the shadow there or is it not? This may seem like a sort of an irrelevant, weird, esoteric physics question or something, or philosophy question. Those two things get very, very close to each other. Is it actually there? If everybody acts as if a shadow is there, then what's the difference between that and the shadow actually being there? You see, this works both ways. To the person who can't see the shadow, but everybody else can, it's probably safer to assume there's something wrong with you. If everybody else sees this thing and I don't see it, then there's probably something wrong with me. That's an incredibly powerful social pressure. That's like the number one social pressure that all others reduce down to. So, to withstand the vision of the shadow requires active, focused, determined will. Yeah, Mellon, reality hacking. The shadow observer paradox. Did I just make one up? I don't know. So this is why I have said from the very beginning, we must use chimping as a select targeted tool. Now, there's so much chimping that there's basically just noise. And there is some utility in that. If you're being very, I don't know, like not technically, but colloquially, if you're being Machiavellian, there is utility in, like, sometimes it's good to have all signal, but sometimes you might want some noise. But you don't want too much noise. But then if it's nothing but noise, well, then you can lurk in the shadows, so to speak.
The shadow is, by definition, likely to be there. It's how we can even know blind people are blind. It's not some magic. However, if you see the shadow and no one else does, then the shadow is more likely to be there than if one person doesn't see it.
Okay, hold on. I need to read that one more time. The shadow is, by definition, likely to be... We're going down a rabbit hole here, folks. The shadow is, by definition, likely to be there. It's how we can even know blind people are blind. It's not some magic. However, if you see the shadow and no one else does, then the shadow is more likely to be there than if one person doesn't see it. So you're saying if one person sees it, but others don't, it's more likely to be there than if everyone sees it and one person doesn't. One person doesn't, everyone sees it. One person sees it, everyone doesn't. Okay, this is going to wrap my brain in knots. I think we're over tormenting the paradox. But I'm actually, this is very interesting. I need to unpack this a little bit more and kind of parse through the nuances of it, because this is the sort of thing that really gets me. This is what really gets the juices flowing. This is what really gets the noggin jogging, is thinking about these sorts of things. 'Cause you can really understand a lot about the nature of reality when you think about it in these terms. Shout out Jonathan Pajot. Mellon says basically, if you get used to looking at the TV to see if it's raining, you'll stop looking outside. It replaces your senses. Then you change the input going into the TV to make it not reflect reality. The observer still thinks they're getting real information. They are not. Yes, that's how the PSYOP is. That's how the PSYOP works. So once you have a psychological model on someone, if you have enough resources and the desire and the know-how, then you can run psychological operations on people pretty easily. And psychological operations have become psychological operations as an industry, and that no one group has an absolute corner on the industry. Everyone's running psychological operations on each other all the time. And they're becoming more and more sophisticated, and people are learning from the way that they're conducted. So there's absolutely major psychological operations being undertaken against whatever you'd call it, MAGA Twitter, right-wing Twitter, the ascendant right. What would be like Trump's most ardent, passionate, engaged base has been placed under a microscope and psychologically unpacked and weaponized against itself. They know your weak points. They know the things that will make you chimp the loudest. So they're baiting it. Because if you recognize that this community has this demographic of people here has influence on the president, and you want to influence the president, well, maybe the best way to do that is to influence the people who are influencing him. And I'm not saying that he is wholly directed by us. By us, I'm casting a pretty wide net here. I'm lumping in a bunch of different groups of communities of people who would have major issues with one another, but what unites them is their being Trump's
Literally
base.
scouting. It's not that the whole army sees something. The scout seeing it is likely enough. But if the army sees it and the scout doesn't, the scout's bad. It's assuming that sensation is an extrinsic phenomenon. Can't shit. My degree is worthy.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying here. But it's ultimately it's begging the question. It's begging the actual question that I'm posing, which is it's the difference between your perception of the thing and the thing actually being there. It becomes, in a probabilistic sense, it's more likely the more people who see it, it's probabilistically more likely that it is there. But it is a real phenomenon, both hypothetically and actually an observed reality, that you have mass delusions of people who believe something is there that's not there. And you could back this up, I suppose, and you could say, is this actually commentary on the human mind's role in creation? To what extent is the human mind capable of manifesting reality? This was actually the stuff that really took me into what led me to Orthodox Christianity, honestly, kind of ironically. But yeah, this is why you can't get religion and politics separate from one another. Because once you get down to this level, you're talking about the stuff that informs that out of which both of them derive. So, yeah. All right. Anyways, I gotta keep this going because I could sit here and do this all night. So we'll talk more about the psyops here in just a little bit. At the outset, I want to say it's very obvious that MAGA Twitter, that Trump's most engaged base, is being psyoped the hell out of, and it's time that we psyop back. Speaking of psyops, thank you for the tips, by the way. Very much, Mr. Hyper Perseverant. And who was the first one from? Pale Morning Dude, the other two. Appreciate you guys supporting the show. All right. What do you guys think of Mel Gibson in a John Wick style movie? How about that? Here's the trailer.
The world is full of ugly people doing ugly things, kid. It's just the nature of the beast.
I found something.
Okay, we got you.
What happened?
You got shot through the back. You think you can tell me what happened?
They took us. My best friend. They shot her. Lindsay! And I left it there. I just started running.
This
Somebody
is good
shot her.
slop.
Left for dead? What do you figure they'll do if they find out she's alive?
The girl, she got seen today.
Take care of it. This brotherhood, who are they?
These people, god dang animals. I'm looking for somebody. No!
It's Trey
Get back in the
Aragua.
house, tool up, lock all the doors.
Yes, sir.
You understand what kind of mess this girl is in? You don't want to mess with these people.
Wasn't planning on it. Sometimes we don't get to pick what we want to do.
I'm planning on it.
You can't get away from me.
The only thing I care about in this whole wide world is keeping you safe. Nothing's gonna stop me from doing that.
Just wait.
Damn thing won't start. Oh, I see the problem. It's a spark plug.
Holy crap. Oh! Now this is propaganda. Hell yeah. Mel Gibson going to war with the cartels with a dash of human trafficking of women, of beautiful young white women. Woo! Yeah, baby.
One last one, apt name XD. We are pissed about is that we aren't being psyoped, Trump is. He is the one who is reversing his stance, not us. They got to him outside our power apparatus. Means that we lost a point and shows we lost / didn't have influence.
Okay, yeah, here's our fundamental disagreement. Because this is illustrating exactly the point that I'm making. That he's not reversing anything. This is entirely Tempest in a Teapot stuff. That doesn't have any, these are old stories that are being recycled.
Base retards are back.
Base retards? Wait a second. What'd I miss? Who's a retard? What happened with the retards? Mel Gibson? Mel Gibson is Australian? Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? No, he's not. What? You motherfucker. What? Everyone knows this but me? Mel Gibson. American-born Australian actor. Huh! How did I not know this? Weird. No, I didn't know this at all. Very weird. That's the sort of thing I would know. Interesting. I looked up. I looked up at his birthplace, and it said New York, and I'm like, oh, you guys. I was like, you guys are you're joshing me. And then I read the top of it, and it said American-born Australian. Huh. Trust Plansar didn't know either. Okay, I'm not alone. You and me. You and me, brother. Yeah, fuck that. Now I'm mad. No, he's not Australian. Slutty Milk didn't know either. Okay, I'm in good company. Whew. Mel Gibson is not Australian. Mel Gibson is as American as they come. He's ours. We took him. Okay. First of all, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun before we get into the other stuff. From Captain Dreamer, thank you for the clarification, Mr. President. Trump posted this, and as far as I can tell, this is real. I didn't actually go to Truth Social. I didn't actually go to Truth Social to confirm this, but everyone was reacting to it as if it was real. So I'm going to assume that it's real. He said, many in the fake news media have claimed that we will begin denying visas to overweight people. They have even come up with a term for these people, high-calorie humans. This is totally false. High-calorie humans. Donald Trump is posting about high-calorie humans. We will not ban all fat people from entering our great country. Only those whose poor health will overburden our healthcare system. Visa applicants who are only slightly overweight have nothing to worry about. The bigger ones will need to trim down to get approved. We will expand this rule to cover expats in the near future. Rosie, you will never return to this great country. Shit. Oh, man, I needed that. Oh, my God. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Man, it was a long-ass day, and I really needed to read that out loud. That was so funny. And nobody in the chat is saying that it's not real. So I'm going to assume it must be real. Yeah, Slutty Milk, I don't care if it's real or not. It's spiritually true. Thank you for your attention to this fatter. Living dead! Uh-oh, Slutty Milk, you're getting more competition. Thank you for your attention to this fatter. Oh, I love my president so much. The dude just... The longest government shutdown in history. They stared down the Democrats in this desperate attempt to extract some political wins. And the Democrats got nothing. They are decimated. They are humiliated. They are fractured. They're attacking each other, tearing each other apart. And the entire news cycle is just defined by Trump's own base attacking him. My people just have no idea how to do politics. This weighs on me heavily. My people are really, 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 really bad at using political power. They have zero sense for it. They have no idea what to do with it once they get it. This should be a moment of great celebration and expectation, anticipation, exulting in our great victory, mocking the libtards, grabbing posts from Reddit and dunking on them. Everyone thinks that the administration did something. They're like, oh, they were just on fire for the first few months. And then something happened. And then it all changed. Yeah, what happened is they got a psychological profile on you and they exploited it. They started showing you shiny objects and hammering you with political arguments that would appeal to you. Not political arguments that the libs care about. Political arguments that would appeal to you. Trump is covering for Jeffrey Epstein. Ooh, that's a spicy boy. That was a good one to really lean on, really hammer, really drive home. That hit all the right notes. Human trafficking, Jews, attachments to Obama. That hit all the right notes. Gets into the leadership and affects different personnel who are within the administration. Starts demoralizing everyone about the DOJ or the FBI. Everyone assumed that their standard for execution was going to be as high as what we were seeing elsewhere. But it should have been obvious that if those games are going to occur, if those fronts are going to be attacked, it's going to be much, much longer. Much, much more of a long game. Because that you're dealing with actual law and criminality. This is like right in the heart of the belly of the system. If there are supposed to be wins on those fronts, it's going to take a long time. And everybody who championed it, who got on top of that horse and started riding it, got the benefit of virtue signaling. Virtue signaling about being hip to the JQ, virtue signaling about human trafficking and little girls, virtue signaling about the insistence that Trump is owned by the deep state. Trump retruth Promethean action? Are you serious? Oh! All right, I'm going to need to look that one up later. Got myself a little bit of research while we're away. Trump retruthed, not betrothed, retruthed. Oh, fuck off. Let me type the word I want to type. Promethean action. I'm anal enough that I can't have typos in my notes I make for myself. Yeah. Yeah, Iran, that's true. Iran and then Epstein together. Those were the things that really, really kicked it off. And what do those things have in common? Interesting. You mean they took the unsayable thing and they used it as a psyop? Fascinating. Isrull indeed. Interesting. I wonder how they knew. And then behold, what's happening right now? Now all of a sudden the Republican Party is splitting in half, or in 3 parts, or in 5 parts, over Isrull. Huh. Now, you got to have the mental acuity here to recognize the difference between identifying that this is something being used as a wedge issue and then adapting to that reality. There's a difference between that and denying the issue itself. But now suddenly this has become a new form of blasphemy. You can't remotely appear to be letting them off the hook. Not actually letting them off the hook. You just can't appear to be. No. Every single issue reduces to that. Very interesting. It almost seems like a psyop to demoralize everyone. And what do you know? Everyone's demoralized. So now, on top of everything else that this fucking administration has to do, they also have to remoralize everyone. Now they have to go fight back against the psyop. They have to come bail everyone out. No, Daddy! Give me a sign that you love me! No, that's not a real sign. Oh, I don't care about that. That's stupid. No! Give me a sign that you love me, or I'm going to leave. I'm going to go find a new daddy. Let me know how that works out for you guys. Here's just how bad the Democrats are, how bad of a condition they're in right now. Going back to September 27th, Matt Dines levered USTs on Twitter, talking right about the time of the shutdown. He said, expect selling into the shutdown itself, bottom soon after the event, both bond and risk asset prices rallying post-news. Working backwards from what I see as the most probable, inevitable outcome if shutdown happens, is that White House wins, ACA healthcare spending wiped from the scoring process, and D leadership turnover and handoff from the old Democratic power brokers Schumer, Pelosi, etc., to new young leftists, AOC, Mamdani, etc. Talk about calling it. This guy called the hell out of it. What's happening now as a consequence of this? Well, you could say it's a consequence, or you could just say, oh, it's just happening. Pelosi is retiring. People are, reports now. Schumer faces calls to resign after shutdown deal. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer faces calls to resign after 8 Democratic senators broke ranks to vote with Republicans on November 9, providing the 60 votes needed to end a 40-day government shutdown, the longest in U.S. history, without securing the party's key demand to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies set to expire at year's end. Just a total, complete cave by the Democrats. Matt Dine says, this endgame was so obvious that you have to question the political judgment of the Democrat leadership on this misread, or whether there was anything more involved behind the scenes. Anyways, goodbye, Chuck Schumer. He says, back to this, he made his prediction. He says that outcome is a W for risk assets, credit creation, and lower rates to start the setup into midterms. Republicans occupy the high ground in this one and are fine with the shutdown. They hold the asymmetric payoff of success here as well. This is the final appeal, and if Democrats lose, the ACA spending is scrubbed off the government accounting procedures once and for all, locking in the one big beautiful bill. Did you hear that? What just happened? Democrats lost the ACA spending. They lost control of the ACA spending. Now it's scrubbed off the government accounting procedures once and for all, and the one big beautiful bill is locked in, which essentially clears the runway for the Fannie Mae IPO to get off. Giggity. Also plays into executing the agenda that Doge laid the table, shrink and squeeze the government bureaucracy that is a key leg of the Democrat coalition. This is the state of play right now. Exactly, Mellon. The executive is getting more power to act unilaterally from all of this. All of this boring stuff that you don't want to hear about, that you don't want to pay attention to because you're too busy chimping. All of this stuff is winning the long game. Every single thing that you are screaming that you want Trump to do requires him to be much more secure in his power in order to actually do it. So they need to blitzkrieg through the courts as fast as courts can be blitzkrieged through in order to establish the unitary executive power that he requires. Until then, the game is to play the game as it is right now and strike and win on key issues, and they are doing that. This is the administration and Republican Congress moving into the ascendancy. And the more that the Republican Congress wins, the more pressure there can be on them to keep winning. Because that's what will drive and consolidate their own power. How does that happen? By having Trump's base completely united, vocally ramming the pressure on Congress, decimating their opponents, humiliating them, mocking them, dancing on their graves, demoralizing them. Because this fight, if this fight is won, if Trump gets Congress on side fully, then he can do all of the things that you want him to do. Do you understand that? All of the things that you want him to do, that you want them to actually be done right, actually fixed, not just had some token thing waved at it. All of those things require a real congressional majority and the full support and public will behind him. Trump cannot deploy the military to American cities with sub-50 approval ratings. He probably can't do it with sub-60 approval ratings. And I know you might say, well, if he did it, he would It would increase his approval ratings. It would increase with some, it would decrease with others. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that the population would be happy about that, particularly when he doesn't have an army of posters championing the propaganda for it. The more his base begins to turn on him, the less latitude he has to win some of these key battles. Because one of the major things that defines some of these key battles is going to be, where is political sentiment at that moment? Where is it then? And if political sentiment is clearly and unequivocally behind Trump, that will move the Supreme Court. I'm not saying move the Supreme Court on something specifically. I'm saying that would be enough that it would affect the Supreme Court's decisions, because political calculations inevitably play a part in legal decisions. So while Trump is amassing massive wins, his base is just blowing all of that on completely unproductive exercises, which makes it all the harder to amass all of that. Democrats occupy the weak position and have zero chance of getting anything close to their initial ask. Does not make sense at all as to what Schumer and remember, he's writing this in September, almost 2 months ago. Does not make sense at all as to what Schumer and Jeffries think they're going to get out of this. It's their battle of the bulge, last-mounted effort to defend their coalition's accomplishments from the 2010s. To me, this looks like an intentional setup to walk current Dem leadership into an ambush. Schumer's own Custer's last stand. Their hold on legislative leadership of the Democrat coalition is that it's at the highest risk in all of this. If they fail, Schumer is the expendable scapegoat. Democrats look to form new leadership in the Congress and Senate. If they lose 7 Democrat votes in the Senate, his whip over the existing Democrat coalition is proved lost, and party leadership moves toward the leftist wing heading into midterms. Also, there's a faulty assumption that the same shoe would be on the other foot if Republicans lose this one. Shouldn't Mike Johnson be out? This is where possession is 9/10 of the law, and Republicans have it with control of Congress, Senate, and White House. Besson said the quiet part out loud when he commented that the White House can and would declare emergency powers with a national housing emergency. I.e., they have consensus internally and will get the Fannie Mae IPO off one way or another. Mike Johnson would be out because he doesn't have the confidence of the White House to deliver in this job, but that's 100% a Mike Johnson problem, not a White House one. So all of this, Perry knows all about battling bulges. Indeed, he does. This is exactly how it played out. This is exactly how it happened. The Democrats walked Schumer into a death trap. Either that or the Republicans cornered the Democrats into walking Schumer into a death trap and wiping him out. He's gone. Pelosi's gone. Democrat leadership is going to turn over completely. The party is going to have a different character. And they're going to get a big shot of energy from that. Now, that energy it may last, it may not last. It doesn't have to last. But people will naturally follow they will follow the people who seem to be winning, which they will follow the people with the vibes. And right now, the vibes among Trump's base are fucking atrocious. And you can lay this at the administration's feet, and I think it would be horseshit. Because the things everybody is chimping about are complete nothing burgers. You're chimping about it because someone told you to chimp about it. The facts are not remotely on your side on any of them. And either way, we've been through this game so many times. So many times. We've gone through this. I'm going to go through these specific clips that everyone's upset about. I'm going to go through these specifically. And in both cases, these are issues that have been litigated and relitigated. We've gone over it, over and over and over and over. And there is zero reason to chimp on these issues. Both of these are Trump is asked a question, and he answers the question. This is not the administration came out and decided to make a pronouncement. This is Trump is asked something. And he gives, in both cases, the exact same answer that he's given before. And it's been explained many times. The meaning behind these answers. One of them is about Chinese students. One of them is about H1B. We're still fucking yelling about H1B. I've spent so much time on this that it feels tedious to revisit it again. The comprehensive list of actions that have been taken to strangle the H1B program to death. Not just that, but a number of other immigration programs as well. Visa standards are being drastically restricted. Deportations are at an all-time high. Self-deportations are at an all-time high. The foreign-born population is dropping. Newer ones are coming in way more slowly and trending toward fewer and fewer. The libs are melting down because this is happening. And yet we continually have this same stupid conversation over and over again. A couple episodes back, I went through a tweet that listed all the massive long things that have been done to target specifically H1B and other related immigration programs just since inauguration. There's few things that they have focused more time and effort and energy on than ratcheting down immigration. Most of these programs cannot be ended like that. Political realities are realities as well, no matter how much you dislike them. In the case of H1B, the president cannot end H1B. All he could do is strangle it to death and fight all of the lawsuits that are entailed all the way along. Congress has to end it. You know what helps with that? Getting a larger majority in Congress. Do you know what else helps with that? Getting the president win after win after win after win after win after win that backs Congress into a corner and forces them more and more into a place where they're forced to comply to stay alive politically. Trust Planstar says, our enemies are panicking and we're getting psyoped. What a time to be alive. That's it. That's it in a sentence. Our enemies are panicking, we are getting psyoped. And the more we get psyoped, the more we panic, the more energized they get. Living Dead says, all with basically the entirety of Congress and the judiciary standing in the way or unwilling to help. Yes. Those are real things, and there's nothing Hitler-esque or Franco-esque that Trump can do to change that reality right now. But that reality can be changed the more other things change. And frankly, I'm pretty sure that the majority of people, even some of these guys that have been like knockout gem posters in the past who are starting to coal out now, I can tell in the way that they talk that they simply don't know these things. They don't know about it. Because nobody's talking about it. And when the administration talks about it, nobody pays attention. How many other things did the administration do and say over the past 24, 48 hours that each individually could have been a major subject of conversation. But no, people chose to talk about these specific things. They weren't special until everyone decided to talk about them. Look at this. Apartment rental market. U.S. apartment rents just saw their largest October decline in 15 years. Rent decline drives steepest October drop in 15 years. U.S. apartment rent decline continues as October sees steepest drop, driven by oversupply in key markets. U.S. average rents fell to $1,708 in October, a 0.3% month-over-month drop, the steepest October decline in over 15 years, according to Apartments.com. By the way, note this, 0.3% month-over-month was the steepest October decline in 15 years. And if you're talking about, like, oh, just deport people, and it'll make, you don't need to do 50-year mortgages, just deport people and free up all those houses, and it'll make housing prices drop. If you want housing prices to drop sufficiently to make up the difference in monthly cash flow of a $400,000 mortgage between the 30-year and the 50-year, if you want to make up that difference, you're going to need something like probably I think it was $40,000, so something like a 10% drop in the housing market. We just got a 0.3% month-over-month drop for apartments. And that was the steepest October decline in over 15 years. So how long is it going to take you to get a 10% drop in the housing market? Rent growth has slowed to 0.8% annually, down from 1.5% at the start of 2025, as elevated supply continues to pressure pricing across all regions. Denver, Austin, and Seattle saw the steepest monthly rent declines, while cities like San Francisco and Chicago posted strong year-over-year gains. I wonder what Denver, Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, and Chicago have in common. All 4 U.S. regions experienced monthly rent decreases, with the West seeing the largest drop, going down 0.5% month over month. That's a pretty good one. That's pretty substantial. Those are good numbers. This is phenomenal news. If only Trump would focus on domestic issues. What would happen if all of MAGA Twitter all got together and decided to talk about nothing but this for a week? Talking about all the reasons this is happening and how good this is and how much of a difference it's going to make for young people. Yeah, obviously we'd like people to get into mortgages. We'd like people to get into houses. But if apartment rents are starting to drop big time and average rents are falling, then this is good news. This bodes well. And no matter how you want to spin it, no matter what the actual truth is, this makes phenomenal propaganda for why the mass deportation effort is working and why we need more. Do you see the political palatability of that argument? Look at this. Rent is dropping precipitously because Trump has deported so many people. Record deportations. Look at this. Trump is actually carrying out the largest deportation operation in history. The claim that he's deporting less than Obama is a lie. The vast majority, we've gone over this so many times, but I got to do it again. The vast majority of Obama's deportations were returns, which were people simply turned away at the border. That's different from removals, which are actual domestic deportations of people already living here. You know what this means in institutional terms? It means all of the infrastructure in place to do removals was basically eradicated. Trump has far less returns because nobody is showing up to the border. So if you want to count returns and compare Trump and Obama, Obama's going to have way more. Because people were being invited there, so some were getting turned away. But now nobody's coming because they know the border is closed.
I'm going to come.
But as of October, Trump is at 527,000 removals. Removals, which is actually going into the interior, taking people out of the interior and removing them, which dwarfs any president in history. This even includes Eisenhower with Operation Wetback. Yes, that's what it was called, which primarily focused on returns. Again, so Eisenhower primarily focused on returns, not removals. So Trump is already doing the largest mass deportation effort in history. This is what it looks like. This is how bad it was. This is what it looks like. And in the last month, there's been half a dozen different stories about Trump leaning on DHS and leaning on ICE and demanding more. Again, these things take time. They have to take time because of how bad a shape it was in. They have to spin these operations basically up from scratch. They have to train people. They have to actually go and locate these people. I'm sure, and actually, I don't even have to be sure. I know for a fact they're using Palantir to do that. They have to be trained. They have to be found. They have to be brought in. They have to be processed. They have to be shipped out. There has to be personnel and material and equipment and vehicles and judges and all of this for this whole process. And they're having to spin it up from scratch. Mass deportations he said, we absolutely need more, and I'm hoping the big, beautiful bill can get the annual numbers in the millions. That's what they've said their plan is. J.D. Vance said he believes there are 30 million illegals in the country, and he's heard numbers as high as 50 million. Tucker Carlson said that Trump told him personally he believes there's 50 million illegals here. Do you know that? Are you aware that the current president and vice president believe there are 50 million illegals here? And they want to send all of them back. This is why the self-deportation propaganda campaign is so crucial. Yes, Slutty Milk. So what do you think happens if they're undertaking this massive self-deportation propaganda campaign at electoral cost to themselves, mind you? Then what do you think happens when all of a sudden Trump's base starts counter-signaling that and saying, oh no, actually they aren't really deporting that many people? What utility do you think there is in that being a widely held notion? Do you see what I mean? My fucking people don't know how to do politics. They're committed to loserdom. Here's the numbers. These are removals from the past. 344, 333, 414, 438, 409. So there's a couple points here where Obama got kind of high. Trump is way past it. And these numbers here, as they go further back, it's going to be relative because the population was a lot smaller. There were fewer people in the world in general. So the numbers will get much smaller as it goes back. And to do a proper study here, you'd have to go look at relative numbers relative to the rest of the population. But also, with a much smaller population, a lot of the removal process would be more streamlined. So there's no way to contend that they are not engaged in mass deportation. Now, if a year from now or 2 years from now, the trajectory hasn't continued, if we're still at this level, then that would be bad. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would be bad. We definitely don't want that to be the case. We want President Trump and Vice President Vance to get their way. We want Stephen Miller and Tom Homan to get their way. Do you know what helps them get their way? Constantly championing just how many people are being deported. You're not welcome. Don't come here. Because self-deportation is way cheaper. It's way easier. It's so much better. Pay them to leave. You save money. It's so much better. Slutty Milk says, I think they'll touch 20 million removed overall, forced and self by the end of Trump's term. I think so too. And they're absolutely going to surpass the equivalent of 20 million on net. Given the number of people who are no longer coming in. It's shut down. And almost every immigration program in existence has either been sunsetted, meaning it's not dead, but its expiration date has been created. It's been ended, or it's been drastically constrained. Or if it doesn't fall into any one of those categories, then it's overwhelmingly likely that it has already been targeted for removal. As an example, I was going to talk about this one later, but I'm going to do it here. This is going to be particularly relevant to the upcoming conversation. Forbes is reporting that an upcoming Trump administration rule is expected to end or restrict optional practical training this year or early in 2026. You've heard about OPT? All the people saying, just end OPT? Here you go. They've said it before. It's been mentioned many times. There is a bill being presented in Congress soon from Senator Jim Banks to formally end OPT. Senator Eric Schmidt is now campaigning on ending OPT. As Tonorous Highest here says, Trump isn't doing enough about immigration, MAGA is over, Israel is won. Bunch of retards. With this context then, and you could have known this. You could have known this from Project 2025 days. You could have known this from the many times it's been said over the last year that this is coming. This isn't something they don't know about. So with that in mind, here is the first clip that everyone is having a cow about tonight. I might have a cow if Trump ever does an interview with Laura Ingraham again. This woman is a snake. She's specifically pressing him on these issues because she knows it is going to make his base chimp out at him.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States. We have about 350,000 Chinese. One point during COVID, you were going to, push to, get them out, but that was pulled back. You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school?
You can see in his
and
face.
There are places not.
He's like, seriously, bitch, you're asking me this question again?
For them, and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money.
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have, China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well,
you know what that is? That's a threat. Did you just wake up yesterday? Trump is threatening the universities. We spent the last 10 years with people realizing the way that Trump communicates, the way that Trump negotiates. How many of the Trump derangement syndrome people, how many times have you had these conversations with Trump derangement syndrome people where they're like, he said such and such. He said Mexicans are rapists. Those of you who are saying that he wants to continually import a bunch of Chinese spies to keep the universities alive because he just loves the universities and he just wants to get as many foreigners in here as possible, you're doing the he said Mexicans are rapists thing. He just threatened the universities. Hey, just so you know, if I was to take this away all of a sudden, you guys would go bankrupt because he knows very well just how valuable those foreign students are. And he's been taking it to the university since he was inaugurated, seizing funding, coming to blows with them politically, backing them down. And the way it's always been done is with federal funding. You know what else he's doing right now? He's also in the middle of active negotiations with China. His goal is to not be at war with China. There's a whole bunch of people who want him to be at war with China, who want to go to war with China, but my president doesn't start wars, he ends them. He's up to 9 now? If he was to just all of a sudden be like, oh, well, people on Twitter are really angry, so I'm just going to ban Chinese students from studying in America. That would be an explicitly hostile act of provocation toward China while he is negotiating with them. He's retaining Chinese students as leverage, both against the universities and against China. This is how he has operated since he showed up 10 years ago. Over and over and over again. The dude is literally defined as the guy who negotiates deals unlike anyone else. He literally wrote a book about it. This is his sport. This is the thing he lives to do. And even just kind of like a rudimentary survey of the fact patterns here with China and with the academy shows he has been actively engaged in alternating hostilities and negotiations with them. If he just bans Chinese students all of a sudden, he loses that leverage over the universities, and he also loses negotiating power against China. Furthermore, there's a lot of utility, if you understand that these are spies, there's a lot of utility in keeping them around. Because you can counter-spy on them. The 600,000 number, we've covered this so many times. This is like the second or third time that this has come up and been a whole thing. And people have dug in and realized, oh, wait a second, hold on. 600,000 students is the number of students for 2 years at current levels. Levels that they have inherited. I think I have a graph here of, is it here? Yeah. I'm having to cite fucking Brendan Dilley of all people. If you're still repeating the lie about 600,000 visa students a year in college from China that Laura Ingraham floated last night, you're the problem. She's both a liar and stupid. It takes 5 minutes to dispel the lie. The last comprehensive data is for the 2023 and 2024 academic year. This is enrollment figures. Total Chinese. 2019, 2020, 372, 532. 2020 and 21 don't have the exact numbers, approximately 300,000. The next year, 290. The next year, 289. 2023 and 2024, 277. The numbers are already decreasing. And interestingly, he's talking about 2 years worth. Isn't that interesting? 2 years worth. 2025, 2026. I mean, there's some sort of deadline here. before something's going to change? Maybe there's like a negotiating deadline, perhaps. Right. Trump said they wouldn't be admitting any new ones. He's not talking about new ones. He's talking about the ones that are up for negotiation at this time. Seth Levy says there's a contingent on the right desperate to prove Trump has surrendered his principles. He hasn't, of course. But he's operating in a complex world and is focused on making America great again. Let Trump cook. I only played 50 seconds of this, so let's keep it going.
Well, I think that's a big deal.
Are they fans,
you would have the
fans of the United States?
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities.
Justine!
Thank you. This is where the psyop is coming from. Trump was betrayed and he said a thing that got Brown GOP man to go to ground. We know the art of the deal was ghostwritten by a Mossad asset though. Deportations will continue until morale improves.
Brown GOP man to go to ground? Trump was betrayed and he said a thing that got Brown GOP man to go to ground. I don't follow what you're saying. Yes, deportations will continue until morale improves. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's before the notification came in. That was exactly what I was going to say, Slutty Milk. He just said that HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, are supported by Chinese money. That's what he just said. Why is he talking about HBCUs? We're talking about Chinese students and HBCUs. Wait a second. HBCUs are being subsidized by Chinese money? How is this not the thing that everyone's talking about? 6 months ago, it would have been. This is the same for every single one of these issues.
So we're dependent on China to keep our university system going?
But I think it's good to have, I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world.
They're not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal our intellectual property.
What, do you think the French are better?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Oh, you think the French are better? Really? Oh, you think the French are just some friendly allies? How in the hell is these parts of the interview not what everyone's talking about? He just said he threatened the universities. He's protecting his negotiations with China. He says HBCUs are subsidized by Chinese money. And he said the French are as much enemies of ours as China is. Am I taking fucking crazy pills here? How was nobody else talking about these things?
Really? I don't know. I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. We've had a lot of problems with the French, where we get taxed very unfairly on our technology, where, you know, they put 25% taxes on American products. Look, assuming everyone treats us badly, because that's the way I am, but we take in trillions of dollars from students. You know, the students pay more than double when they come in from most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive, but at the same time, I know you and I disagree. We're never going to agree on it, but that's okay. And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business. We have millions and millions of people. Also,
I view it as a business. Our university system is an asset. This is an asset of the nation. It's been degraded. It's been hollowed out. It's been taken over. But we're not going to let the great American Academy, the great and storied American universities, be taken over and permanently destroyed by our enemies. No, we're taking them bitches back.
I want to get along with countries if possible. You know, people are shocked. Remember, Hillary Clinton said, we'll be in a war. I stopped 8 wars in the last 9 months. I don't want to be in wars. If I am in a war, we're going to win the thing fast, and it'll be...
Vivek said Americans were too dumb to do tech stuff, and it caused a big
Vivek,
kerfuffle. Trump accidentally fell for the trap. The lady's wife jacking him so hard. It's so sad that Trumpy Wumpy couldn't discipline this woman. He's so gentle.
Yes, he is very gentle, isn't he? You like it? You like that gentle? Maybe you don't. You don't want it gentle, do you, Justine? The lady, his wife, jacking him so hard right now. Yes, he's getting henpecked to death here. But note the context. Like, since when do we not pay attention to the context around Trump's answers? This is literally the way that he communicates and has communicated for 10 years. When he says something kind of weird, you go, okay, hold on a second. He has his weave. So let's go see what the context is. If you listen to the context, you can hear what he's thinking about. What is he thinking about? He's thinking about negotiations. I don't want to be at war with everyone. I want to get along with people. Who is he talking about? He's negotiating with China. He's like, shut up, bitch. You're blowing up my spot.
Bitch. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Well, she's obviously dark.
Be violent. But you know what? I don't want to be in worse. But one thing, you don't want to cut half of the people, half of the students from all over the world that are coming into our country, destroy our entire university and college system. I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't lose any.
And don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's idea. I know what MAGA wants better than anybody else. And MAGA wants to see our country thrive.
That answer, he told you exactly what's going on. He told you exactly what he's doing if you've got the fucking brain cells to rub together and hear it. And that last little bit there was him letting her know, I see what you're doing. You subversive wench. How dare you? How dare you try to cause a scandal for me? Hello!
Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Aspiring midwit!
Dollar, dollar.
Alpha male alert!
Ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Justine makes my D soft. Also happy birthday to my nigga Pete Q. Carry on Labatriots.
Labatriots! That's right, happy birthday, Pete Q. Happy birthday. One of the greatest men on the internet. A very, very good friend. Extraordinarily loyal man. Pete and I go way back. We got off to a bad start early on, but I'm very glad that we've put that behind us. Pete is a great man. Thank you for reminding me of that, Mr. Aspiring Midwit, and thank you. Thank you for the contribution to the streamer salary. You're making Amy happy. Sonny Mook says, happy birthday to the guy that's going to put Obama in prison. That's right. Judge Pete Quinones. Oh, you got to mind your Pete Qs, boys. Pete Q will waterboard Obama.
The N-word.
How many of you guys, tell me this, before I played this whole clip, 2 minutes and 39 seconds, how many of you guys had heard it? How many of you had heard it, and how many of you had just heard the commentary on it? I'm curious to know. Because I saw all the commentary on it, but I didn't have time to sit and listen to it. I didn't listen to it until later on after I got home. And then I chimped, man. I was livid after actually hearing it. Okay, yeah, you guys just saw the commentary. Having now seen the clip, compare it to the commentary that you've heard. What's your take on that? I'm waiting to see the comments catch up here. Because there's going to be another one. It was a rare fumble. Yeah, we're just not going to agree on this one, man. It do be like that. Kate says, heard it twice and was pissed AF at the misleading headline. Yep. These dumbasses online didn't listen to it, just read the fucking headline. Yep. Either that or... Now, if you're out of the loop, if you don't know what's going on, and if you've committed your brain to just panicking and chimping all the time, then you might not have listened between the lines to all of that. You just heard him say, gonna have Chinese students and it would bankrupt our colleges and And I'm an old boomer who doesn't know any better, and so I want to bring lots of Chinese students here. I want them to come spy on us. The dude whose political career was literally defined as him being the man that said, no, China is a problem. When everyone else said Russia's a problem, he was like, nope, China's a problem. That was his first thing that he came onto the political scene talking about. Was China is ripping us off. Now suddenly, he's just really soft on China. Yeah, he's getting frustrated because he knows exactly what's happening. Fox News is trying to run a hit on him. And this would be, given everything I just talked about a little bit ago, this would be the worst time ever for him to get into a spat with Fox News. And our guys need way better discipline. This is atrocious. Lock the fuck in. A couple tweets here from Unseen One. He said, I'm not a big fan of 600,000 foreigners in universities and colleges, especially since so much taxpayer money goes to those institutions. But let's put it in a frame of reference that is meaningful so we can at least discuss it rationally. There are about 19.57 million people enrolled in colleges and universities every year. 600,000 is 3%. And the 600,000 figures is for 2 years. So people are arguing over 1.5% of the admissions yearly. Total admissions. That's fine and all, and it's probably a discussion worth having, but it's not a DEFCON 1 type of discussion. It's 1.5%. Sure, I would rather that 1.5% of spots go to deserving American kids, but again, it's not as if the other 19.3 million spots that do go to Americans are chump change. And also, the universities are way oversubscribed. There's way too many American kids going to universities. Way too many. We don't need more American kids going to universities. We need probably fewer than half. So there's no problem here of American kids, the country being harmed by American kids not being able to get in because of Chinese students. The issues with the universities are way far afield from that. And particularly when you consider everything else that I was just talking about. Unseen One also says, if you haven't figured it out yet, the issue about China students, which is old as dirt, was only brought up now because the anti-Trumpers can't allow Trump to have an unopposed, clean victory ever. Never, ever. That's the rule. Trump just spanked the Dems. The GOP under Trump's direction and effort just had a major victory. The Dems are in disarray and fighting among themselves, so of course, the people at Fox who dislike Trump will ride in to try to change the narrative and split the GOP base over something small. And if it hurts his trade policy with China, which Fox also hates, so much the better. This is an attack on the trade negotiations that are proceeding remarkably well. This is an attempt to prolong the negotiations. He wants to put the negotiations to bed. They must be done. They have to be done. You can't get any of the domestic economy, affordability, deportations. You can't get any of that stuff done without bringing a resolution to the China issue. So this is an attempt by Fox to divert this problem, to prolong it, because they want to escalate hostilities with China. And our guys are playing right along with it. You don't want him to be focused overseas, because you got this like fake distinction between foreign and domestic. You don't want him focused in the foreign policy area. So you're going to freak the fuck out and demand that he do something that will require even more focus there. Once again. And you're doing this right after a fucking gigantic victory. My people are being gay and retarded, and I hate it. Laura Ingraham herself, I pressed President Trump on H1B visas. Oh, yeah, Laura Ingraham all of a sudden is very anti-H1B. Laura Ingraham, noted hardcore immigration restrictionist. Now all of a sudden, Fox is to the right of Trump on immigration? Is that what you're telling me? I saw guys who were like, oh, good on her, that's right, hold his feet to the fire. You're telling me you think that Fox is to the right of Trump on immigration. And she doesn't have ulterior motives bringing this up and framing it in the way that she does. We're going to have to get a hell of a lot smarter if we're ever going to acquire and hold or use political power. We cannot be getting waylaid by such rudimentary little psyops. Just total slops. Psy-slops. Total psy-slop. That's all this is. It's just psy-slop.
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain...
Now, if you stop listening right there, if your attention span is 21 seconds long, middle of a conversation, she's arguing with him, and you pause it right there before the actual conversation starts. You might think, what? He's saying the same thing that Vivek did. He thinks Americans are retarded and incompetent. He hates Americans. He wants to sell us into slavery to Jews. The dude who ran on Make America Great Again. The dude who ran on reviving the American middle class. The dude who ran on reindustrialization. All of a sudden, you think he hates Americans. He hates average Americans. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? If I heard that much, I'd be like, okay, I need to know what else was said, because that's like wildly out of character with anything that he's ever said. If that's the opinion he's expressing, this is a very new development. So, okay, I need to hear more. Yeah, that's right, Kate. He said, I agree with you. I agree the H-1B program isn't good. He literally said it. And then what does he say next?
Certain talents, and people have to... No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and you have to...
You don't have certain talents. What sort of certain talents? I mean, I guess if you think about it, if the major problem of the last, 40 plus years has been the deindustrialization of America and the offshoring of industries, and everyone's really concerned about this loss of critical knowledge, that pretty soon we're not even going to be able to maintain our own infrastructure. Well, that kind of would imply that there's a deficit of knowledge among certain fields, certain critical industries. I mean, if the businesses literally don't exist here and haven't existed here, if all the expertise has been elsewhere, which is the entire premise of the whole Make America Great Again agenda, that would mean that there's knowledge that's not here. So I wonder what maybe he's talking about, like picking strawberries, or working at a Popeyes. Maybe that's the special knowledge. Those are the skills that Americans don't have.
People have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment, like an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles. Or
people have to learn. You can't take someone off of an unemployment line and say, we're going to put you into a factory where you're going to make missiles. The implication being that his vision of the future is that Americans who are unemployed right now are going to be trained to make missiles in a factory. As an example, some sort of high-tech fabrication. That's what he's talking about. And those people don't know how to do it. Why? Because these particular industries haven't existed. Because the previous leadership of the country offshored all of those industries, offshored all those specialties. So you know what he's saying? Remember how everyone was so mad about the humiliation, the absolute humiliation of people being forced to train H1Bs to do their jobs before they were let go. Like software engineers or coders or payroll clerks or whatever. They had to train the H1B replacements. And what he's saying is what he wants the H1B program that he thinks is bad, he wants it to exist so that H1Bs can train Americans. That the H1B visa exists for training Americans in specialized industries that do not currently exist here, but that he wants to bring back. What did Pete say once? Take Trump seriously, but not at his word? Right. And maybe listen to 31 seconds instead of 21 seconds. Clouded Sensorium says, this reminds me of what the Japanese Empire did to industrialize. They brought in a bunch of foreign help to train their people and kicked them out when they were done with them. Remember what I said about the OPT program going away? The OPT program is a program that a lot of college students use. These foreign college students come, and as soon as they graduate, they move into the OPT program and use that to stay here. They're ending the OPT program. So sure, Chinese students, you can come attend the universities here, pay exorbitant prices to do it, and when you're done, you go home. Come here, give us your money, go home. And we know you're spying on us. We're going to spy on your students before we send them back. And when we send them back, we're going to spy on them while we're there. H1B? To the extent that the H1B exists, continue to exist, there's going to be a $100,000 fee, and it's limited to 6 years. You might say, that's what the O1 is for. The O1 is for specialized people. The O1 can be renewed indefinitely. The H1B cannot. Now, in case you think that I'm reading too much into his words.
I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well, let me
When you
just,
and I were
I'll give you
growing
an
up.
example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made
Hyundai.
batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing. It's very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems.
He's talking about the Hyundai plant in Georgia. Remember when they went and raided it? And there was kind of a big kerfuffle about it. And South Korea was like, no, we understand. Kind of a bit of a diplomatic scandal. ICE was getting a little too, they were going by the book. And Trump was like, hey, my bad, you know, we did have an agreement. You're going to invest this money here, and you're going to send your people over here to train our workers. You're going to pay for this facility, and you're going to pay to train our workers, and then your people are going to go home. That's what he's negotiated with them. And ICE got a little too ahead of themselves, which is good. Good. I'd rather them over-enforce.
They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
Look at that face. Suddenly, she's the great patriot whisperer. All right. Sure. Okay. So those are the things that I've never seen the timeline in such absolute meltdown state. Ever. And I had numerous people who DM'd me, who tagged me and stuff, who are posting in the Discord, who are posting in group chats, all going, what the hell is going on? Why are all these people losing their minds? Why is there this like collective psychosis happening? So I know it's not just me. We got to get our shit together. All right, let's have a little more fun. Patriot Gold. Patriot Gold sums up perfectly how everyone feels about Mark Levin crying about Nazis. Yeah! Look at this fucking goofball.
Celebrating our country. Every July 4th, we're celebrating the principles that undergird our country. If you reject Judaism and you reject Christianity and you reject the link of the two, you reject the Bible.
Bullshit. I don't even think that I could make my voice sound like that. Like, I can't even begin to... I can't get my voice that far up into my nose. I can't even think of how to... No, I just like go falsetto-y. I can't push my voice that high up.
If you reject Judaism and Christianity and the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the two, not only are you rejecting...
I can see why Fuentes says that I've barely ever listened to Mark Levin. Just occasionally here and there. Never understood the appeal. I can understand why Nick Fuentes was saying that he's has a mangina.
Our founding, you're rejecting our country.
You're rejecting the country by rejecting Judaism? Oh my God. This gaslight. Yeah, bro. Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, what is this?
You're pushing some other agenda.
Yeah.
Whatever that agenda may be.
Just retire.
We have a responsibility.
I have to like try to pull it back here. But then I can't make it as squeaky anymore. It's just breathy.
Mm-hmm. As tens of millions of patriotic, America-loving people.
This guy's a bald retard. That's what he is. He's a bald retard talking shit who doesn't understand the world anymore. It's changed so much that he can't recognize it. And he's so delusional that he thinks that it's something that is people being crazy. No, people are not crazy because they can't afford a house. That's not it. And the whole Judaism and Christianity thing is stupid. Yes, I know. I watched this guy for many years, Zach. It is what it is, right? I'm sure he has good takes on other things. This just certainly isn't one of them. I'll tell you that. It definitely isn't one of them.
This guy is a bald retard talking shit who doesn't understand the world anymore. It's just a beautiful staple that line on Mark Levin's forehead. Now, this is kind of an interesting development. J.P. Sears, who is a very particular sort of guy, very distinct sort of fellow. He has a particular brand of humor that is really kind of... It's very like Facebook in 2012, kind of. I don't really know what to call it. I think it's kind of like sincere... It's like sincere Gen X humor. Because like Gen X has like the really deeply ironic kind of dark, grouchy side, but then they've also got this other side that's very much, it's sort of kind of like a diet boomer, kind of. And so it has that, maybe it's like the through line that went from boomers through Gen X to millennials, kind of. So it sort of has that more, I don't know, it's like humor for people who don't spend very much time on the internet. And even he is getting into this. The fight between pro-Israel versus America First conservatives is heating up.
Hey, dude.
JP, please do not copyright claim me for this video. I get enough of those. I'd like to just, I'm going to comment on it. I think it's funny. It's good. I like your takes. You did good on this. I'm glad you decided to weigh in on this one.
Do you support Israel?
Yeah, sure.
At all costs above everything else, no matter what? Well, that seems kind of absurd, like writing a blank check of support. Well, do you? Well, no, I guess not to that level. I mean, I do have some questions about the Israeli government. You're an anti-Semite. Oh, that's what we're doing here. How long have you hated Jews? Well, I don't, but how much have you been listening to Ben Shapiro lately? Well, believe it or not, quite a bit lately. I could tell. I'm gonna give you one last chance. I want you to denounce Tucker Carlson right now, or else you're an anti-Semite. I love Tucker. Tucker is a MAGA. Ah, that's cute. And Ben Shapiro, who openly supported Ron DeSantis over Trump, he's somehow MAGA? Yeah.
Ooh. JP getting kind of spicy. See, what's interesting about this is that his humor is sort of like, Last Spotting Midwit says, JP makes my parents laugh. That's the service he provides. Exactly. His whole thing is kind of like, he does the stuff that's sort of a little bit edgy, kind of, and he just kind of has fun with it. This is getting a little edgier, a little spicier.
I don't know about that, but Tucker's not MAGA. Well, and using woke tactics to try to cancel people also isn't MAGA. Woke tactics? I'm a conservative, bro. I have a camo hat on. I don't use woke tactics. As an American, you're pro-Israel above everything else, right? Yeah, they're a great ally. Yeah, insert great ally rhetoric there. I get it. But what you're doing is using
Insert great ally rhetoric. You're running a script. And of course, he's got the guy with the We the People shirt representing the America First conservative position. And note this. By positioning this the way he did, he put implicitly that to be America First is to not be pro-Israel per se. He could have said the fight between Israel First versus America First conservatives, but he said the fight between pro-Israel and America First conservatives.
A one-word label anti-Semite to smear a person's entire character into being a hateful person in order to intimidate them into agreeing with you, or if they continue disagreeing with them, discredit that person. Yeah, that's correct. That's a woke tactic. I don't know what you're talking about. The conservative. What would you call a person who tells you you're a racist when you question DEI race-based hiring practices? Yeah, they're woke idiots. And what about someone who calls you a killer because you refuse to get jabbed? Woke idiot. And someone who calls you a transphobe because you don't support men in dresses reading to children? Woke idiot. And someone who calls you a Putin sympathizer because you didn't stand with Ukraine? Another woke idiot. And someone who calls you an anti-Semite for being America First? Woke idiot. Wait, no, you. Same tactic. It's out of the woke playbook, isn't it? No. Well,
it's very interesting that, like, the only real interest I would have in watching this is to sort of kind of understand the meta analysis or the meta dynamic happening here, because it's a particular type of humor that's it's like over explaining the joke kind of, and I don't know why some people find this as funny as they do. I think it's funny that they find it funny. And I'm not saying I don't think he's funny. I actually think he is pretty funny. He's pretty clever. But it's very much targeted toward boomer. You could learn a lot about the boomer psychology by the sort of things that they find funny. Like, not that it's not funny, but like there's probably not a lot of Zoomers that would just sort of stumble upon this and watch all the way through it or really find it all that interesting. There's some, but very few.
What I'm doing is definitely not the same, but you, my friend, because you are literally hating Jewish people because you're skeptical of Israel. Yeah, there's kind of an extinction between devious government activity and the people of that country. And
did he say extinction?
An extinction between Jewish people because you're skeptical of Israel. Yeah, there's kind of an extinction between devious government activity and the people of that country. And
I wonder if that was I wonder if that was intentional. Contextually.
Are literally hating Jewish people because you're skeptical of Israel. Yeah, there's kind of an extinction between devious government activity and the people of that country. And to shut down any criticism of that country through an accusation of hating its citizens kind of makes free-thinking people even more skeptical of that government. It almost makes people think that that devious government is behind the cancel culture campaign out to destroy people that criticize that government. What is there to be skeptical about the Israeli government? They've been a great ally. Yeah, I know you're talking points, but gosh, it's really hard to think of anything. But there is that whole...
Just as kind of like a pullback and sort of view the whole forest. Put a fine point on it. We are at J.P. Sears counter-signaling Israel as our greatest ally rhetoric. And calling pro-Israel conservatives a bunch of woke hypocrites.
Epstein ring thing and how that could have been orchestrated by Israeli intelligence for the purpose of gathering blackmail. And there's the International Criminal Court that currently has an arrest warrant out for Netanyahu for war crimes and crimes against humanity. I'm curious what's going on there. Just genocide accusations are kind of a big thing. And then there's the whole Israeli foreign influence over the minds of Americans by funding influencers, media outlets, and major politicians.
J. Paul Searsler. Another slutty milk great.
I mean, that's kind of a big concern. Like, just imagine if that was China doing that, not Israel. It's a national security threat. And then you can get into the Rothschilds and how to... So you're saying you hate Jewish people?
Rothschilds mentioned.
You think Jews have taken over the whole world, don't you? No. But it really seems like the Israeli government's trying to take over the conservative party in America right now. No, I think I would notice if that was happening. I think your alarm's going off. Oh, I didn't notice. Shapiro's got a new video coming out. He'll be speaking to a conservative audience that spent the last 5 years strongly refusing to comply with intimidation tactics. And he'll be trying to intimidate them into joining the pro-Israel side of the conservative party. I think it's gonna be successful. You enjoy that. I'm gonna go watch Tucker Carlson interview Candace Owens and Ian Carroll. I literally hate you. Why? Because you're a hateful person. Doesn't that make...
Oh, this is good shit.
Enjoy that. I'm gonna go watch Tucker Carlson interview Candace Owens and Ian Carroll. I literally hate you. Why? Because you're a hateful person. Doesn't that make you the hateful person? You just admitted hate, and I don't feel hate towards anyone. You hate me because I'm Jewish, don't you? You're not Jewish, so how could that be? Well, I don't know, but I'll get back to you after I watch Ben Shapiro a little bit more. Great. I'll be looking forward to you telling me how I think and feel. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic right now, or me either. Are you tired of feeling tired? Do you always hit this?
Well done, J. Paul. J. Paul Searsler. Yeah, okay, JP is way more tapped into this stuff than I realize. Yeah, so we've got JP Sears, who's really kind of the... he takes some swings at people occasionally, but I didn't have JP Sears, like, firing darts at Ben Shapiro on my bingo card. And there seems to be some more developments in this direction. So... first of all, this one, I got these backwards. So Candace tweeted this. I have not been paying attention to Candace Owens, by the way. I am not a fan. Just not a fan. Megyn Kelly, I'm a big fan of. Candace Owens, no, not. But the background on this was when Megyn Kelly had Ben Shapiro on, and Ben Shapiro was lecturing her about Nick Fuentes and canceling him, and then she Aspiring Midwit says, Matt laughing at JP means he's hit preliminary boomer age. Welcome, my friend. No! Just put me down now. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So they also had a back and forth about Candace, and he accused her of basically having a double standard. It was kind of a little bit of an awkward clip because he was like, well, why aren't you counter-signaling Candace when she says that Erica Kirk killed her husband? And she was like, what? Candace said that Erica Kirk killed her husband? And Ben's like, well, yeah, that's basically what she's been insinuating. And Megyn was kind of like, and he was like, you seem to have a soft spot for her here, because if this was a leftist, you wouldn't hesitate to just like roundly condemn them. And so she kind of was just a little taken aback. It was an interesting interesting dynamic, seeing them kind of spatting in person. So then, this was, I believe, last night, on her show at this live event, Megyn Kelly said this.
He said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So she's now coming out and basically calling out Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is not going to take this lightly. There are splits that are coming. There are divisions that are escalating. People are beginning to move in different directions, choosing sides, one might say. Then Megyn Kelly released this, a short video clip of Charlie Kirk apparently telling Tucker Carlson to go max on the Israel topic at a TPUSA event.
Epstein clearly had contact with Israeli intelligence and American intelligence and French intelligence, but the only one you're not allowed to talk about is Israeli intelligence. But it seemed true to me, and I had done some work on that. I knew a bunch of people pretty close to that story, so I thought that. And I said that to Charlie, and I said, but I'm not going to say that because I don't want to make your donors mad. I know it's just going to be like an endless flurry of text telling you to stop or you're going to lose a bunch of funding. And he looked at me, I'll never forget it, and said, go all the way. Do it. Go all the way. I said, man, a lot of things I can talk about. I don't need to talk about that. And he said, do it. So I did it.
And here's the thing, Stu. I was recently going through some old pictures to find one of me and Charlie that I knew we took at that event. And not only did I find pictures of me and Charlie, but I found a video of me, Tucker, and Charlie speaking backstage right before Tucker went out. Tucker and I were talking. Charlie came over and interrupted for just a second. And you can hear him on this tape, which I've listened to many times. It's very clear on my phone, less clear here probably as we play it. But he says to Tucker, go Max. He interrupts the conversation because he has to say to Tucker something. And what was so important to him to tell Tucker was, go Max. Here it is. Go Max. It's quick. It just happens to be on tape. And it backs up what Tucker said. And so I just think we need to be realistic. Charlie understood what was happening to the conservative movement over Israel. He probably understood it better than any of us because he absolutely loved Israel. And yet he represented and was of young people. He was young. That was his constituency. That's where he spent all of his time. And he knew that even on the right side of the aisle, they had turned and were turning on Israel. And knowing all of that, he told Tucker to go out there and do all the things Tucker did. Go Max, he said. Now, why did he do that? Because he knew there was a faction within the conservative movement that needed a voice. They needed somebody to put their thoughts and their complaints and their objections into words in a public setting.
That's an interesting way to frame it, Superior B. Nick was Charlie's kill switch in all of this. Now that is some lore I could really, really get into.
And not just cede the whole argument to the other side, which has been dominating conservative thought and media forever. The Mark Levins of the world. And so it's one of the many reasons why I really object to this attempt to otherize, snuff out the voice of Tucker Carlson. Charlie knew exactly where Tucker stood on these issues and wanted him, and I quote, to go Max. The answer to what is happening right now on the conservative half of the aisle is not to silence Tucker, to diminish him to the point where he doesn't have followers. Not that that's possible, you lunatics, or to try to delegitimize Tucker. If anything, Tucker is a remaining voice for Charlie, whose views were changing himself. Yep. So I have nothing against Ben saying all the things he feels, or more neo-Connie people feeling that, or pro-Israel people saying all. I think they should say that, and I understand perfectly where they're coming from. But there is another reasoned, passionate point of view. And Tucker represents that. And that's what he's been doing on his show. It rubbed some people the wrong way, but it didn't rub Charlie the wrong way. In fact, he wanted more of it.
Yes, just preliminarily, that last phrase, just get the bonks out. I already see I already see him going in there. Yes. It's all really a matter of perspective, isn't it? I've seen a lot of people talking about how this last week has just been so bad, so demoralizing. It's just been, it's as dark as it's ever been. And what do we have? We have Megyn Kelly and JP Sears out, like, straight up counter-signaling Ben Shapiro publicly and drawing a distinction between America First and pro-Israel. JP did that more. Megyn is coming along on that. I've always liked Megyn Kelly. I think Megyn Kelly is an honest person. I think she's sincere. I think she's does her best to be sincere and authentic. So her being like an influencer, having a show on Sirius XM and going out and directly counter-signaling Ben Shapiro. She didn't say like, hey, I talked to Ben Shapiro afterwards and I said, here's this thing she said, and we kind of talked it out and we like agreed to disagree or something like that. No, she just straight up was like, yeah, Ben accused me of this and he was wrong. He was just straight up wrong. And then she goes and she plays this. She wanted to go back and find this. She went back and found this video. Look at that. Very interesting. So she's starting to come along to this like, there's something to this pro-Israel thing. Charlie was onto something. Tucker is onto something. We've got the MAGA mom whisperer and the boomer whisperer.
Tucker didn't rub Charlie the wrong way. He rubbed
I
him
knew
the right
it!
way, the conservative way.
I knew
He
it!
would never get to the wailing wall. He would finish long before. Finish discussing the implications of strong foreign lobbies of no specific ethnic origin. Woo.
That's why I said I knew you're going to have to get your bonks out. I knew it was coming. Thank you, Justine. Thank you very much, Justine. I appreciate that. I appreciate you paying my family's bills for me. My dick is now inverted. Well, it is starting to get cold outside. I don't know what it's like over where you are, but it is getting pretty cold here. Yeah, you could. Everyone who's like, "Oh, it's been so demoralizing. Everything seems so dark." Meanwhile, where the current stakes are is Megyn Kelly and JP Sears are getting hip to the Israel issue and beginning to talk about it publicly, counter-signaling Ben Shapiro directly. Trump just led Congress through a crushing victory that absolutely destroyed and humiliated and fractured the Democrats. That's just a few of the things that are going on right now. But, also, I don't know, he dropped some policy about 50-year mortgages, dropped, not even a policy, just dropped it, just teased it. I'm going to be really fucking mad if it doesn't happen. If the whole chimp out prevents it from happening, I'm going to be fucking pissed. If it doesn't happen, you motherfuckers took homes away from people. You took home ownership away from people. You just pulled the ladder up on it. I'm going to be really fucking pissed if it doesn't happen. But he drops that thing in a hostile interview. He gets a couple of questions and gives really freaking good answers to them. Announces that H1Bs are going to be training American workers and going home. Oh. You see how freaking good things are going right now? Now here's a longer clip. Got to speed this up just a little bit. There's this piece by Rod Dreher that I thought about reading and then kind of skimmed it and I was like, at least not now. Maybe later. We may come back to it. We'll see. He said, I spent a long weekend in Washington. Here's what I learned about gripers, Jew haters, and the fight for the conservative soul and future. It's not pretty. The only reason I care about what Rod Dreher has to say is just because I know that he's close to J.D. Vance. That's the only reason why I would pay attention to it. But then, Local Distance wrote a fucking book talking about why he understands young boys being hit with all this gay, they, them stuff and all of that, why he understands Nick Fuentes' appeal, even though he's sure, he makes sure he's like, absolutely abhor him and his type. Well, here's an interesting video from Nick explaining why he talks about Hitler. I almost put that in the title. Nick Fuentes explains why he talks about Hitler. It wouldn't have fit.
Look, I'm not pro-Hitler. I don't care about Hitler. And because of that, they say, I worship him. I admire him. I'm a Nazi. I'm very clear. I'm America first. I'm a nationalist. I'm a Christian. My program is I want to end mass migration. I want mass deportations. I want a government informed by Christianity. I want to decouple from Israel. I want industrial policy. Like this is what I talk about on the show. But because I don't have this mythological, I don't observe this mythological religion of Hitler and the Holocaust, they say I'm a goose-stepping Nazi. I'm Catholic. I'm a Catholic American born in 1998 in the United States of America. But if you don't observe the dogma of Hitler and the Holocaust, they say, oh, you're this, that, and the other. And that's the point. Now, to the extent that I make jokes about Hitler, or we say, all my niggas Nazis, Heil Hitler. To the extent that we do that, it is basically to treat this in a sacrilegious way. It is to blaspheme this religion.
Yes.
It is to destroy the sacred cow, the idol of the Holocaust. That's the point of joking about it.
Yes.
But the things that I've said in a serious way don't need to be taken. I've never said anything serious I would take back.
You're pissing on sacred sites.
I've never said crazy shit that isn't obviously a joke.
You're hacking down the sacred trees, worshiping the tree gods, chopping down the sacred gods.
Is an obvious edgelord, we're trolling, it's a meme, it's whatever. And so when Dave says, oh, well, what about all this fucking crazy Nazi shit? It's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you one of them too? Is the next one going to be a struggle session? Am I going to have to come in and explain all the crazy Nazis? So Nick, you said Team Hitler on Twitter once. So Nick, you said this on Twitter. Like, seriously? That's a part that pisses me off.
This is like a really, I think this is something that the Zoomer generation does instinctually. And it's something I think I've observed between, obviously I can only kind of see from my own perspective, but I think I've observed that this is something that's really distinct about, especially the extremely online Zoomers, is that they like to attack sacred cows. They have this really detached, the detached Zoomer nihilism leads them directly toward just attacking sacred cows purely for the sake of it. Being as provocative and over the top, and the more you do it, the better. It's a characteristic of how the generation communicates with itself. And there's non-Zoomers that do that as well, but it's something that's really overrepresented among online Zoomers, I think. And boomers especially cannot comprehend it. They literally cannot fathom someone talking in that way. It's the most horrifying breach of decorum that they can fathom. Because they lived in a completely different time. This is how they cope. Yelling the N-word in public is smashing a sacred cow. Yes. You've built this whole system that's just hemming us in and suppressing us and crushing us. And so you know what? Fuck your sacred cows. And once people start doing it, more and more people start doing it. They're being purposely provocative and irreverent. But it's not a well-conceived, it's not a strategy. It's instinctual. And he's now very self-awarely, retrospectively rationalizing this out. What's actually happening? Why we're actually doing it? He's like dropping the bit for a little bit. Dropping the bit for a little bit. This is very compelling. Very compelling listening.
And I don't like hearing about it because I expect that people should just kind of get that. Like, I'm not on board with this whole, like, Holocaust, Hitler religion. Yeah, I don't, look, I mean, I'm really kind of ambivalent. Hitler's fascinating. That time is fascinating. Just like everything was fascinating. The Bolsheviks, the Nazis, Stalin and Hitler. It's history. It's all fascinating. And
it's like that stretch of history is actually genuinely really fascinating. The different power politics and all the different characters, and it's like a really significant point in the world. And yet all of the interesting stuff is the stuff we can't talk about. When you talk about, like, 1910 to 1950, you're only allowed to talk about it in specific prescribed ways. No, man. We want to talk about it. We want to discuss all the various aspects of it. And that doesn't mean we want to go kill people. We want to go destroy things. We want to tear things apart. No, we want to actually understand it. And the more you want to try to hide it away, the more you want to try to punish people, whip people back into line, the more interesting you make it. Because in a certain sense, the story of the World War II era is still being told. Because we still live in that. We still live in that time. This is what it is to be in the post-Nuremberg era. That story is continually being developed by people retrospectively relating to it. And so there's kind of a sense in that
I'm never over the top. Smash my sacred cow, suppress and crush me. My instincts are heightened by the Zoomer Doomerism. I get it, the bad guys from World War II didn't like tribal activities. I'm different, I would never give them a state to call their own. I
wonder if that was supposed to be like, Thank you, Justine. We will smash your sacred cows. Crush the udders. Life Support Unplugger says, yeah, boomers and boomer types are constitutionally incapable of understanding Streisand effect. Yes. Yes. And I think there's a certain sense in which we want to put that era to bed, but in order to put it to bed, we have to be able to speak honestly about it. We have to actually talk about it as it actually happened. This is the reason why people study history. People study history so that they can understand it, draw out lessons from it, add it to the data set. And so the more you corrupt the data set, the more essential it becomes that we need to ensure we have clean data from it before we move on.
You know, that's not my religion, you know? My religion is Christianity, and history is what it is. And we study Napoleon, and we study Alexander the Great, and we study Caesar, and we study all these figures. We study Henry VIII. We study all the figures, Bismarck. And yes, we have an academic interest in Hitler and Stalin too, but our religion is based. It's not our religion. We study all the figures, Bismarck. And yes, we have an academic interest in Hitler and Stalin too, but it's not our religion. And as Americans, we need to step outside the shadow of that time period. And that's not a dog whistle to say, oh, it's time to start wearing brown shirts. It's to say, like that exists in the Jewish consciousness, it doesn't exist in ours. That's a Jewish bedtime story. It's not a bedtime story for us. Americans should get interested in America. Why is every fucking movie about the Holocaust? Why is everybody so fucking obsessed with? That's the grand irony. It's projection. I care about America. I care about the conflicts of the 21st century.
Enough European stories. Let's have American stories.
I care about American and European history. And these Jewish people that are obsessed because that's their trauma, that's their story, that's their struggle. You know, my bubby died in the Holocaust. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry for you.
Oh, there's a drop right there.
Died in the Holocaust. Okay, sorry, that's their struggle. You know, my bubby died in the Holocaust. Okay, sorry. You know, my bubby died in the Holocaust. Okay, sorry. Struggle. You know, my bubby died in the Holocaust. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry for you. Just like slavery. And, you know, it's just like annoying. It's the same way that all of black culture is fixated on like minstrel shows. You know, you watch something by Donald Glover or Jordan Peele, and all of their cultural output is about Jim Crow and slavery. From Jordan Peele, another horror movie about Jim Crow and slavery. No, we don't fucking care. That's your obsession. You're obsessed with like black lawn jockeys and minstrel shows and how everything is secretly racist. You know, Donald Glover, This Is America. No one cares.
He's cooking.
That's them. They're obsessed and preoccupied with, you know, redlining and the Klan and slavery. And everybody else is like, what? What are you talking about? Like, no one cares. That does not exist in our consciousness. That's yours. And the same is true of Jews in the Holocaust. Frankly, we're just sick of hearing about it.
He's almost getting a little Yakian here. Talking about the like race as consciousness.
Yeah, we want to make jokes about it because we don't give a shit about it. It happened a long time ago, and we're not obsessed with it. Same with slavery, same with all the colonizer shit. You know what white Americans are interested in? They're interested in Master and Commander, the Roman Empire.
Yes.
They're interested in the Age of Exploration. They're interested in ancient Rome, ancient Greece. They're interested in the American Revolution, Manifest Destiny. That's what Americans are interested in. You know what Americans are preoccupied with? The Roman Empire. He goes, well, you gotta admit, you said some fucked up Nazi shit and you need to clarify. And it's like, no, I really don't. Because everyone knows when I'm joking and when I'm serious. And the stuff that's jokes are jokes and the stuff that's serious is serious. And I don't need to take anything back.
You know, it's interesting that he's like, no, you said some fucked up shit and you need to clarify. And he's like, no, I don't need to clarify. And allow me to clarify for you why I don't need to clarify. I mean, frankly, it's a valid move. I'll give it to him.
And I don't know why that is such a problem. The whole problem is that everyone is fixated on that collective trauma and not our trauma. That's the whole point. Everybody wants to get off of the subject of white genocide and say, well, what about the Holocaust? I don't know. It happened 100 years ago. It's over. The good news is it's over. The bad news is now we're being genocided and you're fucking privileged. Hello? I would say to Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, the Holocaust is over. The bad news is now my race is being genocided. You have your own country. You are all rich. You are all powerful. We are discriminated against as whites. We are going extinct. We are not allowed to organize on our own racial identity and on that basis. I'm more interested in talking about that. That's sort of the whole point. Jews were being genocided. Now they are powerful. We are being genocided as whites.
I don't know anybody else in public commentary who can speak to these precise issues the way that he does, as incisively as he does.
So, you know, as a white person, this is for white people, before you go and say, hi, I need to hear what Nick says about the Holocaust, you're in your own Holocaust. You're being boiled alive right now. And the same people that want you to express the dogma, I solemnly hate Hitler, like they don't care that you're being genocided. They don't care about your neighborhood. They don't care about your kids. They don't care about our future. They don't care about whether our countries are white. They don't care. But they want you to care about their Holocaust, which was over 100 years ago.
Sapir B says Nick takes 2 steps forward and 1 step back. He's going to align with MAGA for 26, but he's doing it in a manner as to not seem dependent on them. I agree. I agree completely. And I'm still undecided on how much of this is well thought out and conscious, and how much of it is him just sort of finding his way as he goes. Because I can see the case for both of them very much.
When he says that on the show and he's like, well, what about the crazy Nazi shit you said? I'm like, who cares? I've said a lot of provocative stuff about everybody. I've said provocative stuff about everybody. I've said provocative, offensive things about Polish people, about Southerners, about Mormons, about blacks, about women, about men, about married people. I've said provocative stuff about everybody. That's what the show is. It's politically incorrect. That's about Southerners. I've said provocative, offensive things about Polish people, about Southerners, provocative stuff. See shit you said. I'm like, who cares? I've said a lot of provocative stuff about everybody. I've said provocative stuff about everybody. I've said provocative, offensive things about Polish people, about Southerners, about Mormons, about blacks, about women, about men, about married people. I've said provocative stuff about everybody. That's what the show is. It's politically incorrect. It's uncensored. It's supposed to be that way. But you know, the only thing that I hear about is, the Nazi stuff. Well, isn't that sort of the thing? Isn't that sort of the point? It's like America, this show is like a safe space for Americans. This is where Americans can joke about everything and anything, and we don't feel beholden to anyone and anyone. And then every now and again, somebody butts in and says, hey, well, what about those jokes about Jews that you make? And it's like, this isn't fucking about you. You know,
it's like that meme of the guy who's yelling at the crowd of people and the guy reaches out, gives him the big thumbs up, and then goes back to it again.
For once, this isn't about you. This isn't about your boogeyman and your collective trauma, about the Holocaust and your fucking bubby. This is about America. Notice, nobody ever says, how about all those fucked up things you say about Protestants or Eastern Orthodox or Slavs or English people or Southerners? You ever notice that? Because I make jokes about them too. I say, so I do the Southern, I do a Jewish accent, I do a Southern accent all the time. I say Slavic people are monkeys. It's a joke. I make fun of married people. You know, I make fun of Mexicans. My dad's Mexican. You know what I'm saying? But the one that they always say is, what about the Jewish stuff? And that's sort of the thing, is it's like, if that's the only question you have to ask, maybe you need to look in the mirror. Maybe that's a you problem.
He can cook. He can cook. Flat a monkey Putin. Superior B says, have you ever met a real groiper IRL? They're exactly what you would expect. Dudes that can't get a woman in their league because they listen to Nick. I've actually met both types. I've met groipers in real life who are like that. And I've also met groipers who are handsome chads with swagger. Married, have kids. There's plenty of groipers, and has been plenty of groipers for a while, who are not at all like what the loudest contingent of them are. There are good groipers, and that's part of the reason why I've continued to listen to Nick. And why, as he's really started to move his messaging around over the last several months, I've started listening to him regularly. It was knowing good guys who I really respect, who have their shit together, who listen to Nick and constantly send his clips and constantly are sort of in my ear. Anyways, all right. I'm going to read you guys now the long-promised article about MAGA-donor Tim Mellon. The Mellon family is famed for restraint, but MAGA-donor Tim Mellon is rocking the boat. One of the cousins said it just makes her sick. Mellon family members vocalize their horror at their Trump-loving kin. But first of all, it's been 2.5 hours. I've got a tired old bladder tonight. So, I'm going to let you guys eat a little leftist ass, and I'll be right back.
Your leftist ass like corn on the cob. ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. My children aren't going hungry. I'll do it. I'll drink your blood. And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up? I'm gonna haul him up by chain. Chop his ass up, size it up. I'm gonna haul him up by chain. Chop, 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 chop. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I'll barbecue your ass flat. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, "Oh, I killed a cow out back, baby." You think Christ would eat somebody? He would never do that. I will. I'm ready to hang them up, gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. And that's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first. I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to get my hands around your throat.
Whew, just in time. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the ass-eating break. And now, I just had to sprint up the stairs to get back here in time. Out of breath. All right. I'm not scooted nearly far in enough. Uh-oh. Justine!
We're gonna eat a little leftist ass because of your old man bladder. Prostate issues, eh?
Hey!
The only prostate issues I have are lack of use. I may not be communist, but I am pro-state. Maybe I'm a leftist globalist. Pay your streamer.
Welcome to the Gulag. If you survive, you earn your freedom.
Thank you, Nematoder, gifting a sub to Life Support Unplugger. And, yeah, let's not be taking shots at the prostate here, sir. I'm young. I'm full of life. I don't need to worry about my prostate yet. Prostate. Thank you for paying your streamer. Yes, people, please do pay your streamer. Tips.kingpill.com. You are the ones who pay my bills, so I can keep doing this for you guys. My sole source of income is the show, everything pertaining to it. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for supporting me. As a reminder, for anybody who may tune out over the next, I got a couple of articles I want to read you guys. So anyone who tunes out before the end of this is my last show of the week. I will be back next Tuesday. I'll be going up to DC. If you want to stay up to date with things that I'm doing while I'm up there, I'll probably be posting a little bit on the King Pill Telegram channel. There's the possibility, I don't think it's going to happen, but there's the possibility that there may wind up being some sort of a show of some type. If there is, make sure you follow the King Pill Telegram channel. That's where I will post it. And I'll also post some pictures and stuff of different things that happen while I'm up there. And if you are in the DC area or you want to be in the DC area, Friday evening we will be meeting up for a King Pill meetup. We're going to meet up at a bar in the DC area. I've got a particular neighborhood chosen. I will be nailing down a specific one, a specific place, once I get a little more feedback from people up in that area. So, if you would like to be added to the group chat, shoot me an email, realkingpilled@gmail.com, or just shoot me a DM on Twitter, @realkingpilled. Let me know that you're interested, and I will add you to the group chat so you know when to meet us. So I'll probably be getting there sometime around 6 to 7 p.m. Friday evening. That's this Friday evening. All right, let us read about MAGA-DONOR, Timothy Mellon. Look at that house. Look at that. Porsche out front. Mellon's former Virginia estate, Oak Spring. The main residence, dubbed the Brick House. Think of the Brady Bunch, a member of the Mellon dynasty recently told me as he tried to explain some family dynamics. Though 70s kitsch could hardly be further from the great banking and industrial fortune, the relative was referring to Paul Mellon and his blended family. But instead of Alice the housekeeper, more than 100 staff members were on duty at Oak Spring, a 4,500-acre estate where the walls were adorned with masterpieces by Van Gogh, Degas, and Monet. House guests included the likes of John and Jackie Kennedy, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, and Charles and Diana. Paul's wife Mary had died in 1946, leaving him with their 9-year-old daughter, Catherine, and 4-year-old son, Timothy. 2 years later, when he married Rachel Lambert Lloyd, she moved into Oak Spring with her 2 children, Eliza and Stacy III, from her marriage to Stacy Barcroft Lloyd Jr. Bunny, as Rachel was called, became known as a paragon of refinement, understatement, and discretion. "Nothing should be noticed," she famously declared. It was an old money credo that her stepson, Tim, now 82, seemed to live by. Little ever appeared in the press about him except for a wedding announcement in 1963 and occasional articles revolving around his interests in trains and planes. Unlike other elites with access to the levers of power, he barely engaged in politics, making only roughly $350,000 in political donations between 1996 and 2017, according to the Wall Street Journal. Then, in 2018, he sent $10 million to the Congressional Leadership Fund, the super PAC that runs ads on behalf of House GOP candidates. In the 2020 cycle, his contributions to conservative candidates and causes totaled $70 million, including $20 million to Donald Trump. And since the start of 2022, he has poured in more than $125 million to Make America Great Again, the Trump-affiliated super PAC, and $25 million to American Values 2024, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s super PAC. And recall, one of the visitors to the estate here, John and Jackie Kennedy. So when he's friends with RFK, they go way back. Yeah, he's literally us, a train autist. Based in John Candy Pilled. I see what you did there, life support unplugger. Tim Mellon is the most consequential MAGA-donor of this contentious election and the least known. This was written in September of 2024. Make this a little bit bigger here. When Tim first reached out to MAGA World to offer his largesse, they had to research him. Reportedly, he has little interest in meeting candidates or attending events, and he communicates with some by fax. I love this guy. Some information came to light in 2020 when the Washington Post first reported on an ebook Tim had self-published in 2015. With the oddly punctuated and cased title, Panam.Captain, that's all lowercase, literally Pan Am period Captain. It was an autobiography as well as something of a manifesto. In it, he wrote that black people, quote, became even more belligerent and unwilling to pitch in to improve their own situations, end quote, after the expansion of social programs in the 1960s, and that Americans who relied on the government teat were slaves of a new master, Uncle Sam. After inquiries by the Post, the ebook was withdrawn. On July 23, a book with the same title was released by Skyhorse, whose founder, Tony Lyons, is also a co-founder of American Values 2024, the super PAC backing Kennedy. Lyons is also Kennedy's publisher. Apart from some reminiscences of his school days, Tim writes little about his family or his personal life. His efforts to build a railroad company and learning to fly take up most of the 171 pages. Aside from a photo of Tim as a small boy with his maternal grandparents, there are no pictures of the author. In an appendix, he reveals the itinerary of a trip in which he flew around the world. His medical history, 2008, prostate removed, prostate mentioned, and his 20 favorite movies. Number 1 is Casablanca. My Cousin Vinny is 6th. Via his publisher Skyhorse, Tim Mellon declined to be interviewed for this story. Entry-level autismo!
Wow, an actual manneristic giga artist. He's just refined and understated while I'm weird and off-putting. Well, we both love trains and hate globalists. He's a socially unaware, inhuman monster now, Mom. No, it's not me, it's the normies. Ray.
an actual Manor Estate giga autist. That's exactly what he is. This is the most American dude alive. Incredible. He writes a book. He takes a swing at the belligerence and unwillingness to pitch in of the blacks, relying on the government teat of Uncle Sam, and then spends most of the time talking about his efforts to build a railroad company and learning to fly. And also includes his medical history in an appendix. I'm just as surprised as you are about my uncle coming out. I couldn't believe he was mentioned in the press. He's the most private Mellon there is. He's been very quiet up until now. His nephew, John W. Warner IV, told me during a phone call from his home in Virginia. One of the 3 children Tim's sister Kathy had with Senator John Warner, to whom she was married from 1957 to 1973, Warner IV is a military historian and former race car driver. My generation and the younger generation is unhappy about his very public support of what we think of as anti-democratic causes and candidates, says a cousin of Warner IV. Again and again, I've heard dismay about him going in this direction. One of the cousins said it just makes her sick. You can really see here how shit liberty is really an aristocratic ideology. It's an aristocratic frame. Sort of how like communism is always a product of like the urbane academic European classes. Shit liberty comes down from the top. A highly private individual, according to some who know him, Tim Mellon divides his time between his vast properties in Wyoming and Connecticut. He's had 3 wives and 4 weddings, but no children. He's socially awkward and wears old aviator glasses with tape on the bridge. He is apparently fond of Patsy Cline, has a fascination with Amelia Earhart, and an obsession with a medieval Norwegian church. This is bad grammar here. He is apparently fond of Patsy Cline. It would be proper to say he is apparently fond of Patsy Cline and has a fascination with Amelia Earhart and an obsession with the medieval Norwegian church. His early philanthropic giving suggests that he once had some liberal impulses. Unlike many other old money clans, the Mellons are still loaded. 175 years later, the Mellons have never been richer, read a headline in Forbes, which estimates that the family is currently worth more than $14 billion. They've got staying power. Of America's billionaire dynasties, only the DuPonts have had a longer run. The family fortune originated with Paul's grandfather, Tim's great-grandfather, Thomas Mellon, who arrived in western Pennsylvania from Ireland at age 5 in 1818. After studying law in Pittsburgh, he invested in real estate and opened a bank. With his wife Sarah Jane Negley, the judge, as he became known, produced 6 sons and 2 daughters. Thus, the Mellon family tree has many branches, but Thomas and Sarah's sixth born, Andrew William, Paul's father, was the real empire builder. A.W., as he was known, built a colossal fortune from banking to oil to aluminum before he became Secretary of the Treasury under Presidents Harding, Coolidge, and Hoover. In a recent Substack essay, Robert Reich, little midget, who served as labor secretary in the Clinton administration, asserted that policies pushed through by A.W. in the 1920s, cutting the estate tax by half, whittling down the top income tax rate from 73% to 25%, allowed him to shift much of his fortune to his heirs tax-free, setting the stage for immense wealth and more specifically enabling his grandson Tim to bankroll the Trump campaign today. What a patriot! 100 years ago in the 1920s, A.W. Mellon cut the estate tax in half, whittled down the top income tax rate from 73% to 25%, and shifted much of his fortune to his heirs tax-free so that Tim could bankroll the Trump campaign today. As a reminder, this is the guy who stepped up and stroked the check to pay the military during the shutdown. Timothy Mellon is the product of a tax system pioneered by his grandfather that allows the perpetuation of dynastic wealth and the maintenance of its political power, wrote Reich. Extraordinarily based, said Matt. Yet Timothy Mellon rages against only handouts that go to those born without silver spoons. Echoing A.W.'s discernible politics, to his family he was domineering, cold, and distant. So if you set up your family for generational dynastic wealth, then that means you must be domineering, cold, and distant. Paul and his sister Ailsa did not have a happy childhood. After their parents' rancorous divorce in 1912, they were shuttled from one cheerless Pittsburgh mansion to another. With his first marriage to Mary Conover Brown, who graduated from Vassar and studied at the Sorbonne in Columbia, Paul was finally able to pursue his interests in art and psychology and break away from Pennsylvania. After traveling to Switzerland to undergo analysis with Carl Jung, the couple settled at Oak Spring, an idyllic estate in the Hunt country of Virginia, where they began to bring up Kathy and Tim. Ailsa, who had only one child, a daughter named Audrey, with David K.E. Bruce, also became a resident of Virginia as well as New York. But tragedy struck in 1946 when Mary, 41, died of an asthma attack. The trauma of Mary's death overshadowed my life for some time, Paul wrote in his 1992 memoir, Reflections in a Silver Spoon. Oh, very clever title. I remained in a state of shock. Tim and Catherine adored their mother. He never got over losing her, a cousin told me. Uniting his family with Bunny's at Oak Spring proved difficult. Neither Paul nor Bunny were skilled parents, and the four children had very different personalities. Dinners were strained. A number of sources recall a precious 18th century porcelain cabbage that sat in the middle of the table. Tim, they said, would often reach over it to grab something, leading an irritated Bunny to snap at him for fear he would break the cabbage. So you've got Ladybird Johnson with Paul and Bunny Mellon here. So here's Paul, Timothy's father and mother, with Ladybird. Damn. That is a honker. As a little boy, he was very gregarious. In time, he became brilliantly mathematically minded, Bunny observed, adding, he has confidence but not curiosity to branch out. According to Burton Hirsch in The Mellon Family, 1978. In the same book, she noted that, quote, Tim's political and social mindset, so different from Paul's, started emerging during adolescence, to the alarm of his father. If Tim had a radical idea, Paul pounced on it. Oh, you'll learn better. You'd better change, Bunny recalled to the historian. The problem was Tim was already rich, being the beneficiary of $100 million trust instruments and other bequests from his grandfather, according to Hirsch's book. It's hard with children who are on the same economic level. They simply don't have to listen, Bunny lamented. Tim made his feelings about his stepmother plain when he declined to discuss her with Hirsch. I hope you don't want to open that can of worms, he said. According to I'll Build a Stairway to Paradise, Matt Griswold's recent biography of Bunny, quote, Paul agreed with Bunny that Tim was a very difficult child, end quote. Boarding school offered one solution. At age 10, Tim was enrolled at Fenn near Boston, then continued his education at Milton Academy in Yale. Before his freshman year of college, he proposed to his girlfriend, Susan Tracy. Though Sue had good credentials, being a Bryn Mawr girl and the daughter of the president of Esso Standard Oil, Bunny tried to nix the wedding. According to Hirsch's book, Sue wasn't very deferential to Bunny. At the end of Tim's junior year, the couple won out and got married. After graduation, they moved into a simple house in Guilford, Connecticut. In the early 1970s, she helped him determine where his foundation, the Sachem Fund, Sachem, should make donations. Recipients included the ACLU and a feminist law firm. They also helped finance an inquiry into poor housing conditions on Navajo reservations and a campaign to rebuild a hospital in North Vietnam. For 3 years, Tim worked at the Yale Computer Center before he opened a business that developed systems programs for small computers for educational institutions. He's a quant introvert with a very smart analytical mind, according to one of his relatives. Literally one of our guys. Is that Say Chim or Say Kim? Say Chim? In the early 1980s, a company he founded, Guilford Transportation Industries, began buying up rail lines from Maine to Maryland, building a 3,900-mile railroad empire that would dominate New England freight traffic. In the years to come, Tim maintained limited contact with family. In the penultimate paragraph of Hirsch's book, a quote from Tim is portentous and rather chilling. Quote, my view of families is that they're an anachronism. The family unit is not a functioning entity anymore. It no longer serves an economic need. I suppose it's interesting as a social phenomenon. Tim is not the first far-right moneybag in the family. In the 1990s, Richard Mellon Scaife became the principal funder of the vast right-wing conspiracy against Bill Clinton. Scaife was a grandson of A.W.'s younger brother, Dick. Dick Mellon was the guy's name. Dick Mellon. The lion's share of Mellon still lives in Pennsylvania. Many of them were Republicans, according to Warner IV, as was Paul during his lifetime. He died in 1999, even as Bunny, a fervent Democrat, became intimate with the Kennedys. You want to know where the Mellon enclave is? It's in Ligonier, says Warner IV, referring to the lush rolling hills about an hour southwest of Pittsburgh. The Ligonier crowd, as he calls them, is a mixture of conservative and liberal and everything in between. One of those is Christopher Mellon, who is descended from the judge's second son, James. Christopher served as a Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence in the Clinton and George W. Bush administrations. Recently, he made headlines when he joined a small group of former officials with security clearances who came forward to reveal secret government studies of UFOs and to sound the alarm about the security threat they pose. He and I share the UFO extraterrestrial involvement issue, Warner IV says about his third cousin. He's on the ultra-conservative side, and I take the moderate side. You know, we're not alone. Big deal. The big deal is that the military-industrial corporate intelligence complex has been hiding the possibilities of what's going on out there. These are the most fascinating people in the world. The aristocratic American dynastic families who hail from the robber barons, the so-called robber barons, who are now deeply involved in these really niche military intelligence networks and stuff. Most members of the AW branch are based in the Virginia, D.C. area, and almost all of them are Democrats. They also seem to think of themselves as the true royalty of the clan, as one member phrased it to me. This branch includes Ailsa's grandchildren, the children of her only child Audrey, and Audrey's husband, Stephen Currier, himself related by marriage to the immensely wealthy Warburg family. In 1967, the couple, both civil rights activists, disappeared in a mysterious private plane crash. The wreckage was never found, orphaning Andrea, 10, Lavinia, 9, and Michael, 5. With their inheritances from Ailsa, who died in 1969, headline of her obituary in the New York Times read, Mrs. Ailsa Mellon Bruce dead, called richest woman in the U.S. So with their inheritances from Ailsa and the Warburgs, the Currier children became possibly the wealthiest of the Mellon scions. Harvard-educated Lavinia, an environmentalist and filmmaker, is very involved with Tibet issues and has a close relationship with the Dalai Lama. When I interviewed her about one of her films in the late 1990s, she expressed horror over the activities of Richard Mellon Scaife. For a liberal Democrat like myself, I'm embarrassed to be a Mellon right now with this fellow running around. You can see you had the very devout conservative Republican financier who set up his whole family for this for success long term. Then his son married this Democrat woman, and like his entire, like so many of his descendants are all shit libs. This is like WASP royalty who have become just total dyed-in-the-wool regime shit libs. The Pennsylvanians and the Virginians rarely meet. Matthew Mellon, a younger brother of Christopher, was until recently the highest profile Mellon, given his flashy lifestyle with his first wife, Jimmy Choo co-founder Tamara Yeardai, his cryptocurrency advocacy, and his battles with drug use. Nobody recognized him when he appeared at the funeral service for Eliza, Tim's stepsister, in 2008. He just showed up. He wasn't invited, a Virginia Mellon recounts. He comes up to me, hey, it's so great to be here for the family. I'm like, who are you? Matthew died in Cancun in 2018. In the early 1980s, following his divorce from Sue, Tim married Louise Whitney, an Upperville, Virginia native who had been a childhood friend. After she and Tim divorced in the early 1990s, Tim married Patricia Trenery Freeman, who was recently divorced from Charles Chaz Freeman Jr., a classmate of Tim's at Milton and Yale, as well as best man at his first wedding. Damn, he married his best man's ex-wife. Chaz, a diplomat, gave an interview around 1995 in which he said, I had quite a happy marriage of 30 years with her, which broke up in the summer of 1992 in a very nasty way. Tim and Patricia, who had 3 children with Chaz, later divorced and then remarried. In an email to me, Ambassador Freeman commented, Tim Mellon's callous betrayal of our friendship was almost as hurtful as my then wife's abandonment of me for reasons she declined to explain. In 1998, Tim purchased brand rights to Pan Am Airways after it filed for bankruptcy. He rebranded his rail company Pan Am Railways. Dick Mellon appreciated.
says what game of Spurgs was played for keeps at the multi-generational dynastic wealth robber baron meta. So much long housing in the Mellons. Bro's been training since he was a child in elite Kundu, specializing in wasp style. Sting like a bee.
Yeah. Like a nigger. Game of Spurgs is played for keeps at the multi-generational dynastic wealth robber baron meta. What a banger. Thank you, Dick Mellon appreciator. You and I have much in common. I don't know what that means. In June of 2022, CSX announced it had completed the acquisition of Pan Am Railways. Terms were not disclosed. While the London Times has reported that Tim has a net worth of $1 billion, Warner IV says, I've read that he's worth $4.2 billion. He further says that the combined worth of the Mellon clan today is more like $25 billion. These families don't want the public to know what they're worth. That's a quote. Given his uncle's wealth, his political donations are not huge outlays. It's pocket change for him, says Warner IV. He must have spent a bundle on a most unusual project in his estate in Lyme, Connecticut, a bucolic area where colonial-era salt box houses are the norm. Tim's property encompasses hundreds of acres, but passersby on a small road have been astonished to see an exact replica of a Norwegian stave church dating to the 12th or 13th century. I showed you guys this a couple weeks ago. I showed the pictures of it and read a little excerpt from his book about it. Karate Man says, I would watch this Netflix miniseries. Totally. So would I. This would be really, really interesting. Trust Plantar says, rich people in trailer trash have very similar problems. Yeah. Who was it? If Amy's, I don't know if Amy's still listening, but if she was, she would chime in immediately with who it was. Was it No Agenda? There was some radio show that she used to listen to a lot, that radio show or podcast, where they would do a segment that was like things that really rich people and really poor people have in common. Like having lots of cars parked in your yard. There's some interesting things. One of those would be like having all of this like soap opera family drama. Toward the end of the Viking period, when Norway became a Christian country, numerous stave churches were built. The wooden structures feature a series of roofs, each one offset and becoming smaller as the church reaches toward the sky. Marvels of engineering, they require an intricate system of beams and pillars. Tim decided he wanted a full-scale replica of the stave church in Borgen, Norway, which is considered the finest of the genre, erected on his property. After many reconnaissance trips to Norway, a team of skilled workmen spent years painstakingly recreating it in lime. It was an obsession of his. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, I was told by one of the apparently very few people who has seen it up close. He doesn't want anyone to see it. Here's a picture of Jackie Kennedy visiting Paris with Bunny in the late 1960s. This is his stepmother. I know people who have gone down that road to look at it, and he's chased them out of there, a local told me. In the majestic but sparsely populated south of Wyoming, where Tim bought a vast ranch in 2005, he suffers no interlopers. Quote, I can think of no place on earth more quiet and peaceful and conducive to easy concentration, he writes in Pan Am Captain. In his golden years, Tim has the wherewithal to finance passion projects. In 2012, he donated stock valued at more than $1 million to help the International Group for Historic Aircraft Recovery to help finance their search for the remains of Amelia Earhart's plane. After the expedition failed to find the wreckage, Tim located video footage that he said revealed the debris. Claiming that the organization did not act on this evidence, he sued it for fraud and other claims. The suit, which dragged on for 2 years, was eventually dismissed. A happier outcome seems to be on the horizon in Winchester, Virginia, where in 2016, Tim donated property to develop a park adjacent to the home of Patsy Cline, now a museum. The project is slated for completion this year. Relatives and Mellon family friends I spoke to are puzzled as well as disturbed by how far to the right Tim has lurched. He's always been a contrarian. That's the only thing I can think of that might have gotten him in this direction, which does not reflect our values, says a cousin. He's always just been one of those guys who's gone to the beat of his own drum and operated very quietly, says a member of the younger generation. Paul, this person said, would be aghast at the Trumpification of the Republican Party and his son's support for it. He'd be appalled. Really? Paul would be appalled? Shameful. I think Paul would be vocally upset at Tim. I remember him being a lovely, nice man, a friend of Bunny's says about Tim. I just don't know how he got involved with such kooky extremism, because he wasn't brought up in that kind of environment. I don't know who he listens to, but he should be smarter. Even for him, this is outrageous. Bunny would be very appalled. Appalled! So appalled! You're telling me that both of his parents, who he had a poor relationship with, would be appalled at his politics. Yes, the Netflix series on this would be very interesting. He was into Rush Limbaugh, says Warner IV. My mother told me that she was furious about that. She told him, "You idiot, why are you listening to that idiot?" Tim's like, "I like it." What a patriot. I'm the only libertarian and Tim is the only Republican, Warner IV continues. Tim and Kathy aren't particularly close, he says. They talk maybe twice a year, but they're friendly. She was a hippie type. She still is at 87. They're polar opposites. So his dad sounds like he was kind of a hard ass who was really torn up about his mom dying. His stepmom was like a softy shit lib. And his older sister was a hippie. And didn't get along with any of them. Warner IV's comments speak to a time when people on different sides of the aisle engaged. Before the right went so far to the right. Oh yeah, that's what happened. The right went so far to the right. Thank you, Vanity Fair. It killed my dad at the end of his life. He was just so sad about what happened to the Senate. He had a lot of Democratic friends. He was a middle-of-the-road, moderate Republican. Parts of me are conflicted because he's been very nice to me, but I'd love to sort of dig through his mind to figure out how he is supporting these people and disrupting the system. Says a younger member of the family. Think about how brain-rotted you have to be. He's been very nice to me. This person I'm related to, who I have a personal relationship to, he's always been very nice to me. But I've been brainwashed to think there must be something wrong with him. I honestly think a lot of it has to do with how Trump brought down the barriers of decency. It got to the point where these people are like, if we don't support him, there's nobody else we can support at this stage. We can't support a Democrat. In his mind, and with others like him, they have lived very much independently of the government system. They don't really need to have a relationship with most Americans. The way I see it, Tim is just not a very social person. He's not integrated himself with a lot of community. I guarantee you, he's not one of those people who likes Trump's character. He probably thinks he's an asshole. I think what it comes down to is he wants to be left alone, and he wants no one to tax him. It's that libertarian viewpoint that's become radicalized. There are a lot of really rich people out there who just don't need to think about what's best for America anymore. It's just setting aside the interests of a lot of people for yourself. This is what the WASP aristocracy has been reduced to. When Tucker Carlson is doing episodes, this is who Tucker Carlson is talking to. These are his people. He's not in this class directly, but this is the class he grew up adjacent to. This is the class he grew up aspiring to. Yeah, Zoomer Dylan. I love his character, Tim Mellon. Yes, absolutely. Tim Mellon's probably like, I love the guy. He's a great man, great American. Why is he doing this? Bunny's friend exclaims. People say, oh, you know, taxes. Well, what does he care? He doesn't have any children. He could never spend all the money he has. It's just crazy. Parentheses. Tim is a stepfather to Pat Freeman's 3 children. A moment of honesty from Vanity Fair. In the end, Tim remains inscrutable to many. He doesn't communicate with us. Last time I saw him was at Bunny's funeral, says Warner IV. Bunny did leave a bequest to her stepson. Just one thing. The porcelain cabbage. It was her way of saying, here's your porcelain cabbage, says a relative. Now don't break it. That had to have just ground his fucking gears so much. Given Tim's political donations, the younger Mellons I spoke to fear not just for American democracy, but for their family legacy. As one of them put it, quote, we generally come to our politics and philanthropy with a sense of compassion for other people. The MAGA folks and the causes that Tim is supporting are completely lacking in compassion. That's not the way we want to be remembered. And now you know a little bit more about Tim Mellon, the great American. All right, I have this article here about Peter Thiel. Sean Fisher from the Free Press spoke to Peter Thiel about socialism, Mamdani, a broken generational compact, and revolution. However, I still need to finish my laundry, pack, and get some sleep, because I have to be to the airport by probably about 10 or 10:30 tomorrow. So I am going to wrap it there, and we'll save this for when I get back, because it's a little bit timeless. Obviously it's referencing Mamdani, but Mamdani will still have been just recently elected mayor when I get back in a week. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. I appreciate you guys showing up for yet another Labe. Thank you for listening to me rant, for entertaining me. Thank you for all the great chats, comments in the live chat. I love all of you guys. You are, you're except for going to church and going up to visit the cyberbully, you guys are basically the extent of my outside my family social interactions. So, Dick Mellon appreciator.
They do not want to be remembered that way. Let them be forgotten. Tim Mellon is all our dad. Praise the great Spurg Father.
Hell yes! Praise the great Spurg Father. The great Spurg Father, Tim Mellon. A legendary American. A historical inheritor of the WASP aristocratic mantle. A great man. Anywho, so if you guys want to juice up my social life just a little bit, then come meet me this Friday evening in DC. Come hang out, grab some brews, probably eat some food, talk. Might give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtain on some of the stuff that we're working on. And stay tuned. Make sure you follow the King Pilled Telegram channel. Follow me on Twitter @RealKingPilled. Stay tuned for some things may happen. You might get a few little teases, little drips of everything that's going on. Looking forward to. Really cannot wait till you guys find out about some of the things that we're working on. It's slow. It's a slow process, but we're going somewhere with all of this. So make sure you go listen to EWBSX every day. Just as a show of support for us. Download the app on iOS and on the Apple and Google app stores. Just download the app. It's free. Just open it up. Listen to it for a little bit each day. Get yourself remoralized. There's so much demoralization out there. Get yourself remoralized. 24/7. White pill bangers being pumped into your sweet, tender little ear holes. Emperor Trady says, find out if Matt is a freakish giant or a short king midget. Yeah, you got to come find out. Got to find out. Short king pilled. Yeah, go find out. Go find out how tall I am or am not. It's a great secret. I'm sure some pictures will come out. You guys might be able to judge. Go join the King Pill Discord as well, kingpill.com. Come hang out with us there. I'll be active in there. I'll probably be more active there than I am anywhere else. So, yes, do join, and I will be back next Tuesday, 1 week from today. I'll be out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I fly back on Monday, so I'll be back into the swing of things on Tuesday. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Never doom. Go spread some white pills. Go remoralize your people. Lift them up when they're down. Preach the gospel of the white pill. Give them some of the king pill prescription, white pill prescription. The Mytho Miller. Yeah, go follow the Mytho Miller account on X. I'll go retweet it a couple times. Go follow it. That should get you in a good mood every time you see it. And I will be back next Tuesday for another episode of the ASTROLAB. Until then, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough, and I said,